There's also a new display there, thanks to a generous grant from the Royal Society. Glamorgan Cricket have worked with Penkyra Primary School on a project called Cricket in a Warmer and Better World, with the pupils looking at the various facilities that cricket grounds such as here at Sophia Gardens might have in the year 2050. The museum also has a small bookshop selling second-hand cricket books as well as old Glamorgan yearbooks. The museum will be open today until about 4 o'clock, which will be the end of the tea interval. We're also delighted today to welcome staff and pupils from Fitzallen High School. They will shortly be forming this morning's guard of honour, and then later on they'll be giving us a demonstration of their cricketing skills on the outfield during the lunch interval. Girls and boys, we hope you're enjoying your day here at the home of Glamorgan Cricket, and we look forward to seeing you again very soon.
Very good morning and welcome to the final morning of Glamorgan against Leicestershire, with Leicestershire resuming on 28 without loss in reply to Glamorgan's 403 for 9 declared. Richard Ray of BBC Radio Leicester is alongside myself, Nick Webb. How do you see this final day, Richard?
It is very hard to see it other than being a chase for bonus points, and the odds are that the pitch playing as well as it did last night, then both sides could emerge with something like 12 points apiece from the game, a drawn game, and be reasonably happy with that. A certain amount depends on the result down at Hove, which could go either way. If Derbyshire can do us both a favour by beating Sussex, then both of these sides will remain very much in the hunt for the second promotion spot, and probably, given the amount of play that we lost on days 1 and 2, that is as much as one can realistically hope for.
Yeah, whispers about Glamorgan potentially suggesting that there was an agreement on declarations and a run chase. It just doesn't seem to happen anymore.
No, it depends what the offer was, of course, doesn't it? But it would have been a tricky one, you would have thought, to pitch right, because it does look relatively benign out there, and you never quite know what the offer was. So, but as you say, teams take a lot of convincing now, don't they, to sort of take the bait in that respect.
Yes, we had some odd goings on against Sussex in the last round, where Sussex started off by blocking for a session and a half, then had a dart at it at mid-afternoon, and then shut up shop successfully, which was all very strange. Different players seem to be playing in different ways, but I suspect that may not happen today, and as you say, it'll be a battle for bonus points, but I suppose we're lucky to be starting on time for the first time in the match after a heavy shower around 90 minutes ago.
And you cannot say yesterday's play was not entertaining. It was hugely entertaining. Wickets in the morning, runs in the afternoon and evening, and the pitch has changed colour really. It looked pretty green in the middle at the start of, well, yesterday's play, having been under the covers for most of the first 2 days, but now it looks pretty much biscuit coloured, the odd touch of green grass in the middle, but as we saw, it didn't really make a difference. And yet, Leicestershire, same as yesterday morning, got a fair bit of movement.
Yes, Glamorgan might fancy their chances early on. It'll be, in the oft-repeated words of players and pundits, an important first hour if Glamorgan are to stand any chance of bowling Leicestershire out. 20 wickets in a day is one heck of a demand for Glamorgan to win this game, as the teams come out onto the pitch. Morning, Edward.
Morning, Nick. Yeah, I agree with you. It's a bit disappointing that these days they don't have the setup, especially after you've lost about 200 overs in the match. And I think the spectators deserve something out of it. I'm saddened about that, because it will make for. I've seen over the years some wonderful finishes when sides have agreed.
And since it's gone back down to 5 points for the draw, having been 8 points for several seasons, partly because of COVID and games ending early and that sort of thing, you'd have thought there'd be more incentive these days, but there it is. Everyone is jostling behind Durham, the runaway leaders.
Absolutely. Question here and is that Mitch Swetson is going to open the bowling.
Ah, that's innovative.
I thought, well, I did say to you earlier on, or 20 minutes ago, I think Swepson will bowl a lot today.
Yeah.
I didn't think he'd be opening the bowling, though.
Right, there you are. You bowl from that end, and we'll have 4 seamers rotating from the other end. It's Swepson to bowl the first delivery from the River Taff end. We thought he'd bowl the last over last night, but that didn't happen.
I know what's going to happen. He's going to throw a few up and give them 100 in the first hour, and then they'll agree to a chase.
Here's Swepson then to bowl to the left-handed Budinger, and he is forwards, pushing forward. The ball squirts out in the direction of Gully, and there's no run as Lloyd retrieves it from slip.
I think they should crowd him, because you know what he's like, Budinger. He have a dart from the word go.
Mid-on and mid-off are just set a little back in case he tries to hit over the top. But he's defending back down the pitch to Swepson there. There is a short leg and a slip. And a man close in at fine leg, short fine leg. Swepson bowls, and that's a on-leg stump and tucked away through the leg side, but it is picked up by McIlroy sweeping on the leg side in front of the grandstand, and they take the single first run of the day. 29 for no wicket, Leicestershire, in reply to Glamorgan's 403 for 9 declared. I made it 181 overs lost, which is the best part of 2 days. If anyone's got any other maths, do please tweet me.
Interesting field he's got for Patel, the right-hander here. Chap at short legs, gone back about 10 yards. He's got how many men? 1, 2, 3, 4 on the leg side.
Yeah, route there for the top edge sweep at short backward square. As forward comes Patel, defends on the offside.
They'll have a look at him, these two, because obviously they haven't played against him before. I thought he bowled very accurately against Sussex.
Yes, he gave away fewer bad balls than the average leg spinner, certainly, as that is on leg stump, and turned away by Patel.
First googly of the over.
I'm glad you can read them, Edward, because I can't.
Yeah. Well, he played the shot, he was with the shot, so...
Yeah. 29 for naught under cloudy skies, but no rain forecast today. Swepson bowls and beats him outside off stump, got whipped off the bails as he prodded forward. A moral victory for the bowler, as that one just turned a touch.
I applaud this decision, Nick, to open with him, because at the start of the day, start of the innings, the openers are so used to swing seam and everything else that you would, you'd surprise them.
Well, Neser didn't bowl last night after his lengthy efforts with the bat, but he's dusted himself down, hopefully had the right sort of ice bath or whatever. His hand presumably is no more than bruised from a bang on it while batting, and Glamorgan supporters will want to make the most of this last chance to see him this season.
I don't think if you and I, playing well, you still play, I'm not, days and got 176 not out, I think the best thing, we'd have a nice shower and a couple of pints in the bar to celebrate. Yeah, it'd be good to see him. He's coming round the wicket. I haven't seen him since he played against Sussex away, which is 6 or 7 weeks ago, and he's bowling to the left-handed Bettinger with 3 slips awaiting. And he comes and bowls. That's wide of the off stump. Now, if Bettinger got a nick to that as he attempted it to flash it away, I don't think anybody would have been very happy, but that's the way he plays, and if he does, he's not averaging much above the mid-20s, is he, if that?
Bettinger 25 this season, 375 runs, so exactly mid-20s, Edward.
Yes. Left-handed. Cloudy skies now as Neser comes round the wicket again and bowls Bettinger, who gets a short ball and he just defends and plays it out onto the onside. I have a feeling that this pitch is not going to be responsive to the seamers, simply because the last couple of hours that Glamorgan were batting last night, it looked, as well as these boys played, it looked so easy. And it was Hill, the captain of Leicester, was telling Richard Ray, a colleague from BBC Leicester, that it just went so soft that you couldn't do anything with it. So I think the best things to do away with it. Neser bowls, just defended up to mid-off this time and fielded by Carlson, and there's no run. Interesting, Nick, with David Lloyd leaving Glamorgan, who Glamorgan will pick as captain next year. Would you think that Carlson will carry on?
Well, he's the man in line, isn't he, having deputised for him in the county championship? also doing the job in the One Day Cup, which was scheduled.
Neser turns halfway through this over, no runs as yet off it. He's in bowls to Bellinger. Oh, that's a short ball, and that was an appeal, and he's gone. Caught at the wicket. Rather unlucky, but the old periscope went up, and Neser strikes in his opening over. Bellinger caught by Cook. And we're looking at the replay. He held his bat out for defence. He might have been the
Gloves, I think.
but he didn't play it very well. Took his eyes off it, and he's gone. And it's 29 for 1. Time for Nick to take over as Richard is back, and I shall be back within about 25 minutes.
Thank you very much indeed, Edward. He's got Glamorgan a wicket. Yeah, just feathered, I think, the gloves of Budinger as he tried to get out of the way of that delivery. It was a well-directed short one. Hostile stuff. As that it's flicked something on the way through. There didn't seem much surprise on the part of Budinger. Difficult to see on the replay whether it was gloves or some part of the arm or shoulder that it hit. Be interesting to see a slow-mo version of that if we can. So Glamorgan have got the first breakthrough, 29 for 1. We will, if you're watching on the video stream, hopefully we'll put a 10 pence in the meter and get that going as soon as we can.
It was a good bouncer, wasn't it? But not well played. Obviously not well played. Well directed. And it didn't lose any pace as it bounced up off the pitch. It was a sharp delivery. Budinger tried to get out of the way. Wasn't able to do so.
So
one down, 19 to go.
Chris Cook, who has been signed up by Welsh Fire to play in the 100 here come August, only the second Glamorgan player to be involved in the tournament, but at least they are both involved with Welsh Fire in the form of Cook and Douthwaite. Also various additions to the women's squad. You can read about it on BBC Sport Online, with the women's players being Emily Windsor, who hit the winning runs in the final for Oval last year. You might know her as a BBC broadcaster as well. Ella McCochan, a young batter from Southern Brave, off-spinner Georgia Davis from Trent Rockets, and all-rounder Kate Kopak, who hasn't played in the tournament before. She was born just over the border from Wales in Chester, grew up though in Harden. And news of a couple of young Welsh female players. Sophia Smale remains with the Oval Invincibles, and Seren Smale, North Walian wicketkeeper, is with Southern Brave. Neser bowls to Hill. He's slightly squared up by that one, and he gets runs down to third man off a thickish edge as Ul Hassan retrieves it. Throw arrives back now, and it's a couple to Hill to get him up and running. So both the Smale girls are involved. Sophia Smale with Oval and Seren Smale at Southern Brave. 31 for 1 are Leicestershire in this second over of the day, the first having been delivered by Mitch Swepson. McIlroy and Van der Hoogten bowled the 7 overs that were propelled last night. Neser charging in, bowls a short pitch ball that doesn't get up very much, and Hill is able to duck safely underneath it. So 31 for 1, successful over from Neser to add to his heroics with the bat, and Richard Ray will have the task of describing the idiosyncrasies of Mitch Swepson.
Well, because I was a couple of rooms away, I didn't see the last ball. I didn't see a replay of the last ball that Swepson bowled at Patel in the first over, and which he played and missed that. Well, and to what extent it turned, if at all, whether he just played down the wrong line.
A little bit of turn. He played for it to go straight on. Just gentle, nothing extravagant.
Kind of all you need, isn't it? Just to maybe put a fraction of doubt in the batsman's mind, just to add to you. There we go. We had just the 1 over from Mitchell Swepson, and Van der Hoogten is now going to replace him. So, well, David Lloyd decided that the experiment hadn't yielded sufficient results, which is a little surprising given what you've told me about that last delivery. But even so, it's going to be Van der Hoogten and Neser, which have proved, or who have proved, a potent combination this season. In goes Van der Hoogten and bowls to Patel, who leaves outside off stump. A good leave, an intake of breath alongside me.
Kept a bit low, didn't it?
Perhaps it did, yeah. And it wasn't so very far from off stump, but I suspect Patel and Hill might be a little bit more comfortable with respect to him against Van der Hoogten than in the early stages than they were against Swepson, but we shall see. More used to attempting to deal with sort of pace than leg spin early on. Anyway, Van der Hoogten is in. Patel's driving, getting to the pitch of the ball, but picking out Carlson in the covers, and there is no run. Just to add to your list, Leicester girl Lucy Hyam has been picked for the Northern what do they call
Superchargers? Yeah, always sounds like a battery firm to me.
It does something like that.
Forget the Duracell bunny, get a Northern Supercharger.
a government initiative of some kind, but anyway, there we go. In goes Van der Hoogten, bowls and just drops his bat at that, or just withdraws. I think from playing that, it wasn't so very far from touching the gloves though. Let's have a look, see. No, I don't think he did. I think he had a little play at that before withdrawing the bat. Rishi Patel, a little bit of arguably extra bounce. No movement there for Van der Hoogten, but he was drawn into a little fence at that one and then deceived me by pulling the bat away, having played at the ball. Van der Hoogten is in, bowls Patel forward on off stump, and having pushed it out to Carlson, a little bit of a flourish thereafter, lifts his bat back leg.
The latest announcement from the Department of Levelling Up, the Northern Supercharger, pots of money for everyone living north of Birmingham.
Feels that way a little bit, doesn't it? Well, if you play cricket, pots of money. Pots of money, apparently. So they say. And Hookton with that straight run accelerates, bowls foolish on off stump. Patel is looking to drive, isn't putting his full weight into the shot, but he, Van der Hoogten and Carlson at the moment playing a three-man game, and Carlson again fields in the covers. 3 slips for Van der Hoogten bowling at Patel alongside Cook. Neser in there at third slip, northeast at second. Lloyd as ever at first. Went into a coffee shop this morning. As Van der Hoogten bowls, Patel gets a straighter delivery and he plays it firmly out to mid-on. There was a big article in the magazine in there with David Lloyd. All sorts of plans for the season ahead. It was slightly old.
Yes, quite. Didn't mention that he's off to Derbyshire.
That he might be heading off elsewhere come July. Yes, it had dated, shall we say.
Yes, right.
31 for 1 Leicestershire after 3 overs of the morning's play.
93 available for these two teams to produce something deliberately or inadvertently, as Neser steaming in bowls and Hill plays defensively on the leg side. Billy Root is at short leg. Quite old to be a short leg, really, isn't he, at 30? It's usually one of the kids in the team, but Glamorgan don't have too many younger players involved. Zainul Hassan would be the youngest member of the side. Early 20s, then Kieran Carlson, mid-20s, who's done it quite a lot in the past. Neser bowls, and that's turned past short leg by Hill down to backward square. Single taken. 32 for 1. It hasn't been something that Glamorgan have been great at in past seasons, and getting young players successfully into the team to become first team regulars in their early 20s. As Neser tossing the ball gently in the left hand before transferring it to the right. He'll have to wait because Patel is fiddling with his gloves. Now he's ready. And he's into bowl. Again on leg stump. Turned away down towards backward square. And again, it's just a single as it's picked up close to the boundary in front of the scoreboard. Patel moves to 25. Leicestershire to 33 for 1. As Neser scratches away at the crease again. I'm surprised he doesn't get told off by the umpires more often for that habit. But he's just such a physical character, Neser, imposing with the bat yesterday and absolutely charging in with the ball today. Medium length run, but is going pretty fast by the end of it, and bowls a short ball that Hill ducks underneath. Through to Cook. The trouble is that although he's banging them in, they're not even counting as short balls, are they? The umpire's not signalling because they're not getting up much. So trying to force Hill to fend somewhere in the manner that Budinger did.
The Budinger one was a much sort of looked a quicker bouncer than that one. It climbed and kept sort of climbing on him.
Neser into bowl, and that is defended quite comfortably by Hill on the leg side.
When I was in that coffee shop that I mentioned, it was adjoining the BBC Wales, and I did notice there was sort of barriers outside BBC Wales and security staff, and it looked quite difficult to get in if you didn't. Protection.
The BBC building is the target. Well, I better be careful but anyone with a cause.
Right.
Or anyone who thinks they've got a cause. Neser's in to bowl, and Hill defends up to mid-on, and there is no run. Anyone who doesn't like the media, the vaccination programme, right, space landings, whatever you got, they protest outside the BBC.
This is a long way to go down to the Welsh Parliament building.
Yeah, quite. Senedd down in the bay. Yes, there's quite often a load of stickers all over the BBC entrances that some poor soul has to go around scraping off.
And the Hookton do continue from the river. Taff end comes in and bowls to Rishi Patel, who is looking to turn one off his legs. Does, but off a thick inside edge, almost sneaked through onto his pads. Trickles out towards square leg. Requires Al Hassan to come running in from his deep position down there at deep-ish backward square. He has been caught down there a couple of times, I think, Rishi Patel this season, going for the pull or hook and getting it in the air. So they've done their research, and indeed they may well have dismissed Rishi Patel at Grace Road that way. I'd have to look back. I haven't got my notes from that game, unforgivably. Patel on to 25. Van der Hookten is in to Hill, who defends on the back foot off stump, dropping the ball out into the covers, and there's no run.
Doesn't the season all go in one book then?
Yeah, I'm used to get it all into one, but I don't know whether my scribble has got bigger or the books are smaller. Yeah, yours is nice and thick, but you see, BBC Wales gets the best of everything.
I bought it myself, actually. It's a well-known discount
okay,
shop.
I shall have to do that next year, if spared.
If selected.
If selected, in goes Van der Hookten, bowls outside off stump, and Hill withdraws his bat, extravagantly leaves it behind him, pointing at the heavens as the ball bounces through to Cook.
I suppose following recent newsworthy events involving the BBC, they may be fearing protests at the BBC Wales building.
There were none at 7, I can tell you that.
Good.
A bit early for them. Short-sleeved shirt, fair hair. Van der Hookten, cut very short, runs in and bowls to Hill, who turns him neatly off his legs. Down towards wide long leg. Billy Root comes in and fields. Just rolls his shoulder a few times.
Yeah.
Having done that throw, probably a little bit of warming up required. You can throw your shoulder a little bit early on. Single taken by Hill, moves on to 4, 35 for 1. Darkish clouds around, but they're moving reasonably quickly as Van der Hoogten is into Patel, who is carefully forward. On off stump, defending out into the offside. No run. Van der Hoogten turns and marches smartly. Like Neser, they get on with it. These two, both of them.
Yes, the days of Graham Wagg threatening Glamorgan's overrated every game. Much enjoyed him playing, but wish he'd just got through his overs a bit more quickly.
He used to fairly scurry in once he started his run, but it took a while to get back there. And in goes Van der Hoogten. Bowls very straight, and Patel equally straight in response, almost walking down the wicket, pushing the ball back to Tim Van der Hoogten. End of the over, just the one run from the bat in it, and one leg by early on as well. It was a leg by. That very first one, I thought was a bit of a thick inside edge. It wasn't. It was just a leg by. So Van der Hoogten remains on 34 wickets for the season. Leicestershire, as the newsreader put it this morning, Leicestershire have a target of 404 as well. No, not really.
To win on first innings, yeah.
Yes.
As Neser is in to bowl, and that's hit to short leg and then flick back at the stumps, just in case Hill had overbalanced. That was
he had stepped out.
Good cricket from Root.
Yeah, he had stepped out. Be interesting to know where Hill was as that ball went back past the stumps.
I think he realised the danger fairly quickly.
Here we go.
Replay for video stream of viewers. He'd come a pace down, and he was just about back. Yeah.
But good work by Root.
Reminder that BBC commentary is on the club video streams for all Glamorgan home games as Neser bowls and Hill defence. Presume still for all Leicestershire home games as well.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Which is always good to see. BBC county contract remains in place for next season. 35 for 1 Leicestershire. A question of surviving the early onslaught from these two potent bowlers. Neser with 19 wickets, 20 now in just over 5 games. This is 6th. As Neser bowls and falls over as Hill goes through for a single. I wouldn't worry too much. He falls over quite a lot. Picks himself up, dusts himself down, and looks at his footmarks again. 36 for 1.
Neither he nor Wood seem to do themselves too much damage in their falling bit anyway.
No, it can't.
But it can't be great for the body,
no.
I thought.
Given his high workload. Van der Hoogten has got 34 wickets at 22. He has been Glamorgan's standout bowler. He's Glamorgan's standout all-rounder when he's been available. Another short delivery, banged in this time at Patel, and he gets down underneath it and watches it go harmlessly over his head. Albeit, had he remained standing, it probably wouldn't have been over head height. So Neser's putting a lot of effort in for little reward in terms of bounce since the Budinger dismissal. 36 for 1. As Neser runs away from us once more, bowls, and Patel defends into the offside. No run. Glamorgan desperately trying to make things happen while the ball is relatively hard, because we've had the feeling with this Kookaburra ball that particularly once you get through 30 overs, even the lower order batsmen find it relatively easy to survive. Glamorgan were defied for 21 overs by Sussex's last pair in the last match. Neser bowls, forward stretches Patel, defends again to Swepson at cover. No run, end the over, 36 for 1, just the single off that. And we have had 13 overs. There are potentially 90 left of the day. If you want to contact us via Twitter, NickWebb2017 or Fox's Crick 2023 is Richard's latest handle.
I don't know whether we should have a thread. Do you call them handles in thread? I don't know.
No idea. I'm waiting to see if
we are maybe required.
If we go that
yes.
way.
Who knows? Van der Hoogten is in from the river end and bowls to Hill, who's carefully forward on off stump, out into the offside. Minimal swing or seam movement.
I have got a Mastodon account, but I must admit I haven't used it much in the cricket season.
Mastodon?
Yes.
What is? Is that a social media thing?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Its symbol is the aforesaid mammoth.
Right. That one has passed me by, but so much does. So in terms of social media terms. Van der Hoogten bowls slightly shorter this time and straighter and Hill. With a lot of time, able to get on the back foot and just calmly turn it into the vacant area in front of square leg, which Swepson runs across from mid-wicket, where he's also trying to cover mid-on. And Hill jogs a single, moves on to 6:37 for 1. Few in this morning, scattered around this fine stadium. Obviously the Leicester crowd as well, such as it is. Watching as Van der Hoogten comes in and bowls to Patel, who implies that it stayed a little bit low. He's quite a tall man, Patel, and having played that one back down the pitch, a straight delivery back down to Van der Hoogten, he then sort of bent at the waist rather and swayed downwards, and then indicates with his right hand that that one didn't get up in the way that he was expecting it to.
Umpire Shantry just had a little word with Tim Van der Hoogten on his way back, which Van der Hoogten acknowledged. Whether it was that he was in danger of overstepping or running on the pitch, I'm not sure.
In comes the bowler, and looking to drive, thick inside part of the bat from Rishi Patel, sees the ball squirt out towards deep mid-wicket. Zainul Hassan runs onto the ball and fields, and Patel takes a single, having made rapid progress last night. Not so rapid this morning. He began 24 not out. Just that, his second single of the morning, but in the first half hour, but it is very much, as Nick said, all about survival in these early stages for Leicestershire. Try and take a little bit of the shine and hardness out of the ball. Van der Hoogten is in. Hill leaves, and leaves well outside off stump. Might just have to desert a ball early here, as we are getting fairly close to half past.
Still trying to work out why Glamorgan since Van der Hoogten has not been bowling short and inviting the hook shot so far, why Glamorgan have got a deep backward square and a fine leg, which seems somewhat odd when you're trying to take early wickets, unless there's a cunning plan on the way. Just the two slips. Northeast is a couple of metres ahead of Lloyd, because the ball really hasn't been carrying. As Van der Hoogten bowls, and Hill dead bats it out on the offside. Trickles to cover. 2 singles off an uneventful over. Leicestershire are 38 for 1 in reply to Glamorgan's 403 for 9 declared. And if only this match had a couple of extra days to go, we'd be in business, Edward.
Yes, but seeing the forecast for the next 2 days is horrific.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, right.
Just in time for the weekend.
So I don't have to pay too much attention to my probable non-selection for Division 11 duties this week, then.
Sorry to disappoint you. Breakfast time this morning was pretty depressing. Neser to continue then, and he's put everything into this, but no response yet, apart from that lift of the dismissed Bellinger. He's adjusting his field now, and he's bringing a third slip out. Is he going on the drive? Where's he going to now? He's going up to mid-on, and we've got a short leg for the short delivery, for the fend-off, and it hasn't taken long to have a man on the drive on the on side. As Neser starts his fourth over and bowls, and this is defended by Patel. Not much movement already. As I say, he's putting everything into it, but this pitch is unresponsive.
Yeah, he got one to get up a bit for the Budinger dismissal, didn't he? But
that was his third ball, of course.
You feel it's going to be a spell now and a spell after lunch from Neser and Van der Hoogten, and apart from that, we'll see a lot of Swepson.
Yeah, it's an interchange with Harris. Here is Neser, bowls to Patel. Patel gets behind that again and plays it out into the offside. Cloudy morning. There was a couple of hefty showers about 9:30, I'm told, in Cardiff. But apart from that, now it looks pretty settled for the day. The forecast is pretty good. None of those threatening floodlights, so it must be the glinting sun shining. It gives you the impression that a couple of them are on. I doubt it. Michael Neser, who will return to the Australian squad after this match, comes in again, bowls to Patel. Patel comes forward and plays quite easily up towards mid-on. So the Leicestershire batting lineup is pretty strong, and they will be looking to get as many bonus ones. I don't think they get up to 400, because I don't think they've got the swashbuckling middle order. Good players, yes, but not the ones like Neser and dare we say Swepson, run a ball 69 more or less. In comes Neser and bowls to Patel. Patel plays and gets his left elbow right up high above his head, as if to say, well, yeah, I'm going to just play this defensively. And short leg comes over to a man on the... He's not on the drive, he's closer than that, a sort of bat pad we normally have for an off-spinner, just fending off. So I think Neser will think, well, yes, if I try and get some lift out of this. He's sending also his man on the drive back a little. So perhaps he's going to just dig him in and hopes that Patel can't control and lift it to one of those close fielders. Here's the next ball, which is of a good length and played up to mid-off. Just the 5 runs conceded off his first 3 overs. He's bowled 5 overs of his fourth. And as you say, Nick, it'll be a case of juggling around with this attack, and Swepson toiling away from the far end where he took his 4 wickets in the last match.
It's a better balanced attack, though, in previous games, isn't it, with the extra bowler effectively allowed by the return of Neser.
Such an asset as an all-rounder to Glamorgan. In he comes again for the last ball and bowls. This is offended away. And yes, the man to a bad point just pointed now. That was fended away straight to where he had been fielding for the first 3 balls. And you just wonder now, yeah, just keep the players where they are.
Well, there's no real danger in to Glamorgan in conceding a few boundaries here and there, so you would expect that they might go a little more aggressively in terms of field placing than they have. And
you also, Nick, on the same theme, think that when they look at bonus points, and now it's been increased to 250 before you even get the first, that Leicestershire might think, yeah, we better play a few shots here.
Here comes Van der Hoogten, and Hill is forward defensively, playing to the covers. I suppose the Leicestershire thinking is get through the first hour and a half, wait for the ball to get a bit softer, have a few wickets down by then, so to remove the danger of losing the match.
And do a Nathan McAndrew?
And then, yes, the Sussex player was promoted up the order to have a slog in mid-afternoon.
I wish he'd stayed. It was entertaining.
Van der Hoogten to Hill, who is forward defending back to the bowler. And there is no run. Van der Hoogten, I don't think has bowled a short delivery yet, so why is there a deep square?
I heard that. Yes, I'm with you. I don't quite know why. I really don't.
He'd be better off in a catching position, close on the leg side.
Not saving one.
Or on the drive somewhere.
Strange looking fielder, that man. Nearly shaking hands with mid-on.
Van der Hoogten into bowl. Hill plays gently up towards mid-on. Ball just trickles back past the umpire. And there is no runs.
Yeah, and Hill will be conscious of the fact that it was he who, was it last week or this week, won the toss and put Glamorgan into bat, and they responded by getting over 400. And he will say, well, the last thing I want to do is to get into trouble, so I'm just going to... There's no way they're going to lose the game.
Next delivery from Van der Hoogten on its way. That is the short ball, and it's pulled round but played nicely by Hill. Down to Billy Roots at fine leg. Roots' throw is a little over-enthusiastic, but Cook manages to get a paw on it nonetheless. And they take the single, 39 for 1, Leicestershire.
Somebody wrote this morning that Cook has been drafted into the 100 competition. Which team is he going to play for?
Yeah.
And who is the other keeper? Any idea?
That's a good question. I'll have to look that up. As Van der Hoogten bowls and Patel defends to cover Carlson Fields, and there's no run. Let's see if there is an updated list of the squads somewhere.
Because last time Glamorgan players were drafted in a couple of years ago, they hardly set foot on the ground.
Yeah, Hogan, the only participant last year down in the Southampton franchise, Southern Brave. There's Van der Hoogten in light sunshine, bowls, and that's a nice shot from Patel. Shot. Off the back foot, punching it up on his toes, and through the covers it runs for 4 runs. Shot of the morning so far, Patel to 30, Leicestershire to 43 for 1.
That is as good a shot as you'll see. He just went back, pushed it appeared from here, just sped across the outfield for 4. We've got to change the bowling. Then Neser has only had 4 overs and nothing in the pitch for him. And Glamorgan will wait down and see if there's anything in it for Jamie McIlroy with his left arm over or round or whatever he chooses. It's a change of angle and something different. And Glamorgan have 3 seamers, James Harris to come, 4 seamers rather, plus Webson. And already it looks as if the ball is dominating, the bat is dominating the ball. We saw it in the Sussex game, and as Glamorgan got into the second part of their innings, we saw it there when Neser and the others just enjoy themselves. Jamie McIlroy, who I think has had a good first full season, and certainly is one for the future, and he's going to come round to Lewis Hill. Then he comes and bowls, and I've taken the bowling away. No, I haven't. No, it is my turn. Lewis Hill's on 7. Patel, who scored most of his runs last night, he's on 30, but both looking quite secure out there.
Yeah, in answer to your question about is Chris Cook likely to keep wicket for Welsh Fire, well, Johnny Bairstow's in the squad, but is not likely to play many games, is he, I suppose?
McIlroy round the wicket, bowled a nice square drive for 4 by Hill. Half volley went drifting down the offside, and he willingly accepted that and smashed it for 4. Is the writing on the wall for a long batting day for Leicestershire, do you think? I think if you just want to stay, there is no problem, as the Sussex tail end has demonstrated a couple of weeks ago. But if you want to score runs, that's a different prospect.
There have been a couple of nice shots now, that Patel punch and the
Two lovely
Hill drive. Yeah.
Jenny Bairstow, so he obviously was not going
He'll
to play
probably
much.
miss the start of it, you'd have thought, at least.
As McIlroy in again, balls to Hill. Hill drives this way, this time to extra cover.
Though the schedule is, of course, that there isn't Test cricket in August, as we know. It just depends how
I should be very surprised if
how
there was,
knackered Mr. Bairstow is from his efforts in the Ashes.
and the criticism.
Yeah, the Ashes due to finish on 31st of July, so Bairstow won't play in the start of the 100, you wouldn't have thought.
McIlroy in, balls to Hill. Hill is forward. Absolutely nothing in the pitch there. No deviation, no swing, and one feels that this could be a long day in the field for Glamorgan.
Joe Clark did the keeping duties last
yes,
year, but he's not a specialist keeper. Ollie Pope can do it, but
He's
you'd
unfit.
have thought that...
He won't play, will he? He's out for the season.
Is he?
I think so, yeah.
Was that long? All right.
Doubt it if he's going to risk the 100 when he can't play in the tests. That's a nice looking shot again. That will probably get him 4 more as he bisects cover and extra. So 2 4s in this rather wayward over from McIlroy.
Yes, he is not much more than medium pace, McIlroy, so he's got to bowl wicket to wicket, as they say, which he did very effectively in the last game here. But a couple of wider offerings that Hill has duly taken advantage of.
Yeah, so the score moves up to 51. Just noting something there as the next ball short, and Hill goes for an ambitious hook. Cook takes it low down. Now, before that ball was bowled, as he was walking back, I saw Neser going to have a word with the umpire and looking down at the photos and holding his hand up, and his both hands up and talking and carrying it on just before McIlroy was bowling. So there might be something there that well, he can't land. Can he get some extra turf? Or so I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
But Neser's fallen over
He always falls
occasionally
over.
during every time we've seen him play for Glamorgan.
Like Mark Wood, isn't he? He's another one that goes sprawling.
Van der Hoogten then from the River Taff end. 51 for 1 is into Patel, who's defending it back down the pitch to him. So Leicestershire going along at 3 runs and over. Quite comfortably at the moment after the early loss of Budinger. Patel and Hill building nicely. Just the 2 slips, 5 saving the single and 2 out behind the square on the leg side. You'd thought there'd be a few more short pitch balls from Van der Hoogten, but that's just back of a length and played nicely by Patel. Off the top of the bounce to mid-on, and there's no run. Where Swepson does some busy polishing.
Soon I think that Swepson comes on. It'll be the better for both sides. They will look to attack the leg spin, and Glamorgan will hope there's maybe a few false shots.
So the next delivery is defended by Patel on the offside. Edward Cooper says Glamorgan won't be able to ignore Alex Horton for the one-day cup. Well, I think he would probably have featured in any case.
Yeah.
Even if Cook had been available, I'm sure he would have been given some games, but it'll be nice to see him behind the stumps for the whole tournament. As Van der Hoogten bowls and Patel defends back to the bowler.
Yeah, but I'm afraid young Horton will have to wait, because the way that Cook is keeping wicket this year and last, he's really at the top of his game. I can't remember him. It might be one chance this season, but he really has been quite superb.
He has, but they've got to work Horton into the first team setup somewhere, even if it means that Cook is played as just as a batter for a few games, and then he can bat higher up the order.
Well, depends what he wants to do.
That's nicely punched by Patel again through the offside, similar to the previous over. And the pitch is not offering much to the fast bowlers, and Leicestershire are 55 for 1.
You see the ease that he played that shot.
That is the shot of a man averaging 50 this season with 3 centuries to his name, isn't it? He's looking good.
Beginning to wonder whether the pitchers here this season, lacking the sort of venom needed for the bowlers. It can't be the ball, just the ball.
Van Dorten bowls, that is the short pitch delivery, and Patel really doesn't have to do anything other than sway slightly as it balloons towards leg stump. End of the over, 55 for 1. 4 runs off it, and not much encouragement for the Glamorgan coaching staff. Matthew Maynard and David Harrison perched on the hover cover at the far end of the ground.
Yes, and having their usual little walk. They haven't had much of the weather to walk in this game. Brown, they like to walk around and view it from different angles. And what's Matthew going to do for the next month or so after the next couple of championship matches? Because
Mark Lane's back in charge.
Is he involved in the other competition? I suppose he'll be there.
Not to my knowledge, I'm not sure.
Here's McIlroy, and this time he's coming over the wicket and beats Hill outside the off stump. The arms went up behind the wicket. Don't know what quite for, but at least he beat the bat, which is a rarity. I'm not criticising McIlroy, it's a rarity on this pitch.
It didn't actually reach Chris Cook on the full because he started to go up and then realised that he hadn't caught it on the full anyway, even if there had been a nick, which I don't think there was.
Well, he's gone over the wicket now. I wonder if Neser might have said, well, we land in, and Neser's over, and try the other side, and he does, and this time that's short, and he looks to cut it away, but doesn't connect, and it goes through to Cook. So the start of this over is better than the start of the last, where there were 2 boundaries in it.
Yeah, the angle is just something different, isn't it?
Somebody at cover point impersonating a dog when he's in the sun. He's lying on his back and wriggling around.
Ul Hassan.
And Ul Hassan, yes.
Maybe he's going to have a couple of overs.
I would have thought so before Harris.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, it's McIlroy over the wicket and bowls, and Cook is back. Not Cook, is Hill. Back on his stumps, defending. He's 15, Patel 34. Do you know when you watch a player for the first time, I think I mentioned this before, I've watched Patel in the last season and this season, and it strikes you when you see, now he's a bit different, he can play. And I thought then, and I was asking Richard about it, and he said, yes, he is a very promising player. As in comes the next ball, and that's played away into the covers, and Ul Hassan fields. And I hope that Leicestershire can keep him, because
picked him up from Essex 3 years ago, the season on the Essex staff. Highest score of 99 before this season, but 24 years old, 3 centuries to date this season. Looks as though he's maturing nicely.
Good player. In comes the next delivery, and that's short. Lewis Hill, who is, I'd say, about 5'7", 5'8", ducks out of the way, goes through to Cook. Bit of cloud cover coming over, but no threatening weather here. Glamorgan off for 8 days before they start at the lovely ground of the college ground in Cheltenham.
Yeah, that's a week today, isn't it? The 20th, that one starts.
Yeah. Always a pleasure to go up there in the surroundings, which you look over the hills and the race course. Next ball is defended. He stands tall and pushes it away. That was a maiden, an improvement in the last over. And the score remains on 55 for 1. Patel is on 34 and Hill is on 15. Are you donning the whites on Saturday or Sunday if weather relents?
Wait for selection, but
you're in the squad.
well, we've got about 24, 25 players available for the two teams, and I'm usually down the bottom end somewhere with the other older gentlemen. You've got to give priority to the younger members of the squad.
Yeah. Right, we're going to have a bit of spin, and Nick will describe it, because Matthew Swepson's coming on for his... He bowled one, his second over. He conceded just the one run. Nice to see a duel between leg spin and batsman.
Yeah, the over 8 is level, but you would have thought that it
What
would
was
be...
it in the last game?
Oh, it was +8, wasn't it, at one point?
I think it was more than that.
Was it?
Yeah.
There's certainly no danger of points deductions with Swepson around, as he tosses a couple of practice deliveries and prepares to approach the wicket rather diffidently, sidles up from beside the umpire and bowls, and Patel stretches forward and plays back to the bowler. It's almost occasionally as if he's trying to hide or surprise the batter by...
A lot of people do that, don't they? They hold the ball. Jimmy Anderson, for
the
one.
way he just sort of walks the first 3 or 4 steps, just runs the next couple.
Whoa.
Patel down the pitch for some reason and drives back to the bowler.
Bowled 38 overs in the last game, and that's our second innings in vain at the end as they try to get hold that last wicket denied by Carter and Shipley.
In comes Swepson and tosses this one up, and it's smashed over mid-off. Where's that one gone? 4 runs. Van der Hoogten could do nothing about it. Tossed up invitingly, and leg spinners just have to take that sort of risk, but Patel's playing very well at the moment. Aerial he went, but timed it so well that there was no risk involved.
Yeah, Glamorgan would have been heartened to see him go down the pitch the ball before, because if he'd misread it, he obviously read it, and you can always walk past one of those.
Swepson bowls short of a length and forced away by Patel into the offside. There's a bit of a chase for Carlson. For some reason lobs it back to the bowler underarm.
What's he doing out there? Captain, a deep
Not
extra
usually.
cover. Billy Root generally patrols that area.
Oh, yeah. Carlson out the firing line, whether he's had another bang on the hand, which he does tend to suffer from. 60 for 1. Swepson bowls, and Hill just guides it gently towards Harris Gully. There's no run. More backward point than Gully, actually. It's not in a full-on catching position. Slip in the short leg. Swepson, the leg spinner, signed for 4 matches. Oh, short again, and swept, but not very well by Hill, and the ball bobbles down towards short fine leg. They go through for a single.
The leg slip.
Had there been a leg slip, it would have been straight into his hands. Maybe Hill wouldn't have played the shot had there been a leg slip. 61 for 1 at the end of the over that's cost 6 runs.
Yeah, I'm going along quite nicely at the moment. Patel and 11 runs away from 50, and you feel that there's another big one coming by the way he's playing, because he looks a confident young man and plays every shot. That shot off the back foot was the shot of the morning, shot of the innings so far. And it'll be McIlroy to continue. He's about to start his 6th over. And he's been quite expensive, 0 for 21, and he's bowling to Hill. In he comes now and bowls over the wicket to Hill. No, goes off the back foot and pushes it up to mid-off. There is no run, but they're going along quite nicely and no alarms. They have a strong batting order, especially on paper. You get Ackerman to come, and then the Australian Peter Hanscom. Plenty of batting. Mulder. Next ball forces the batsman back onto his stumps and is defended.
Yeah, with Mulder playing solely as a batter at 6 and Kimber, Scriven. Wright's been going well with the bat this season as well.
But if they intent on getting batting points, they'll have to push on a bit, as Glamorgan did yesterday. That's too short. Beautifully fielded by Al-Hussein at cover. My word.
Yeah, that was strange, that, wasn't it? Because he seemed to dive in anticipation of it and really got down well and early.
Yeah.
Might have had a bit of a bang in the process, I think, on the elbow.
So glad that he's shown promise, and I think he could develop into Glamorgan's regular opener. Next delivery is a line of leg stump, and he's pushed out in short mid-wicket. And the score remains on 61 for 1. Useful progress this morning. 39 so far to Patel. Hill is on 16. That's one out. Buttinger, who tried to get out of the way of a useful bouncer from Neser, but it flicked the glove and straight through to Cook. So 4 balls gone, 4 dot balls. The last over he bowled is a maiden, so he's found his line at the moment, McIlroy, as he bowls again, and that's short and cut away, and another tumbling stop by Ul Hussain there. Star of the moment.
Yeah, grin on his face. He's obviously enjoying this opportunity, and I'll have to check at the close of play this evening on the potential return of Ed Byram, whose hip injury seems to have proved rather more serious than feared even.
Well, that's too short, and he's pulled away down towards fine leg. There is a man there, and they crossed for a single. So it was just the single off the over. That bump he had in the first T20 match down at Hovnick took a chunk of bone out.
Yeah,
which was rather nasty. That very fierce gentleman on the field, not off it, Taimar Mills.
Yeah. But we were told 6 to 8 weeks absence. It's now been about 9, so it's obviously been worse than they expected. So that's something a question to put to Mr. Maynard at close of play, whether he's expecting Byram back any time soon. As Maynard is pictured on screen checking his phone. It's not me texting him.
No.
62 for 1 as Swepo to continue. The Queensland leg spinner Mitchell Swepson, one of half a dozen players with Queensland links in the last few years. Hotline to Brisbane from Cardiff. Swepson approaches and bowls to Hill, who just steers it gently to Harris in the gully.
The leg spinner likes a hard, true, quick, bouncy pitch, but I'm afraid he's not getting this here.
As he's ready to come in again. Hill waits and drives, but doesn't quite time it back to the bowler. It's interesting that the T20 pitches here do seem to have been better for batters this year.
Yes,
as
they
Hill
quite
cuts and will get a single down to point. So they are capable of producing faster scoring, harder wickets, at least for the short form. And I thought the wickets here for the first block of championship games were an improvement, and things were heading in the right direction. So maybe it is the ball and the combination of the ball and the softer wicket with a lot of moisture around this week. Swepson bowls, and that's just played slightly uppishly by Patel, past short extra cover, up to wide long off for the single. He wasn't quite in control of that shot. 64 for 1. as Swepson in, bowls all that short and wide and cut away and well fielded by James Harris, diving to his left at backward point. No run for Hill.
James Harris, who was within the whisker of getting a direct hit against Patel and a run out, very, very close last night.
Swepson bowls and Hill opening his shoulders and hitting it over long on for 6. A maximum, as Hill spotted something about that delivery that he liked, latched onto it very quickly. Didn't seem to be particularly inviting, but he played it really well. He moves to 24 and Leicestershire onto 70 for 1. The partnership is 41, and starting to get the feeling that Glamorgan will have to work really hard to get even 9 wickets, and I think we can forget about 20.
And when you think, Nick, that this is the second day really of this pitch, it looks as if it was a 4 days were fine and we're having 4 days, then it would be a very high scoring game and the pitch was not going to deteriorate, because it never seems to here, does it? Anyway, here's McIlroy to start another over. Comes in, bowls to Patel. Patel plays it gently out to, well, his sounded cover.
But I suppose with the rain that we've had around this week and last week, then must have been difficult to get life into the pitch.
I suppose now they will look at, right, let's try and get to near 400 by, 6 o'clock? Or around that, unless they're all out. I can't see that happening on this pitch, but you never know. McIlroy bowls outside the leg stump, and that's a short delivery, well taken by Cook, who leaps like a salmon to take it over his head. That's your one for the over, says umpire Baldwin.
Official short delivery, as opposed to a lot of the ones that Glamorgan have tried, which hadn't even got up enough from Neser by and large to be counted as short pitch balls. Run rate 3.25, as you say. Leicestershire will want to up that, but may well be able to do so in the middle overs.
In comes the next ball, and that's played defensively, good length ball, and Patel just reaches forward and plays it back down. He's on 40, Hill is on 24, and this partnership now is worth 43.
As these two teams will want to keep playing for the accumulation of bonus points, so unless Leicestershire are all out by 5, then we're likely to go into the last hour.
Yeah. Jamie McIlroy in, bowls. This looks so easy to push forward if it's on a length, doesn't it? It's going to take a lot of hard work. This, I think, they take wickets. Anything beaten the bat? 1?
Very few. One or two from Van der Hocht and 1 from McIlroy, I think. Swepson once with a bit of turn.
Yes, McIlroy, and as he's into his delivery stride, so Rishi Patel moves away as no, it's nobody talking
it's
behind
him.
It's
in the eye.
Fly that came flying at him.
Yeah, just taking his helmet off and wiping the eye. Either a fly or an unexpected bit of sweat dripping down. McIlroy keen to get after him.
Yes, and he's already into his stride. All is ready now as McIlroy is in and bowls, and that's again on a length and push forward. Just waiting for the bad ball, defending. There's no problem defending on this pitch, and all seems well.
There was a no ball earlier in the over as well, which we
was there?
Didn't see. It's popped up on our screens, but issue is that umpire Baldwin is more or less sideways to us when he signals to the dressing room, so don't always pick it up.
McIlroy bowls, pulls down to fine leg for 4 runs. Well, really stood up and just helped on its way. 76 for 1, it'll be in a moment, and 44 to Patel. you ball a ball like that on this pitch, you're asking for trouble, really.
Did set up quite nicely, didn't it, for Patel? He's played that shot nicely. James Harris bowled quite a lot of short pitch deliveries in the last match, but we haven't seen him so far.
He's kicking his legs in the far distance as the next ball is played. Defensively, this time it beats Hassan at cover, and they'll come back for a second. So everything going to plan, you would have thought, for Leicestershire. Nothing in the pitch for the bowlers, and it'll take a lot of guile from Glamorgan's bowlers to take wickets, one feels. The delay here. Richard coming back into the commentary box to join me, and Nick takes the headphones if I can get my feet round them, and we change chairs. That's what's going on.
Almost seamlessly done.
Almost, not seamlessly, but anyway.
We didn't miss any cricket. That was the main thing. Between overs.
Yeah. We've been discussing this pitch, which is absolutely...
It looks benign,
dead,
doesn't it?
And, you know, and the batsman just wait for the bad ball, and it's easily dispatched. The Swepson will start another over, and he will be bowling from the river end. Now he's just clobbered over cow corner by Hill for 6. Mid-on has gone back. There's a man come over from the offside, and Swepson will continue, and he'll be bowling to Lewis Hill. And he comes and bowls to him, and Hill goes back and cuts past the short third man that could easily run away for 4. It's a chase, and it's pulled in just inside by James Harris, who has been doing some exercises in the last over, and suspect that he'll come on in just a moment. I was just saying that it appeared that after just 4 overs, Neser must have thought, well, I'm not going to flog my guts out on this pitch, and took his sweater.
I suspect that was pretty much his attitude.
Swepson comes in again and bowls to Hill, and Hill just guides that. When you have time to watch, go back and guide, you know, Richard, at the pitch, you know, there's nothing fizzing
when
past
you can play it off the pitch, basically. You don't have to be able to read it out of the hand. I don't know whether he has a sort of googly, Mitch Swepson.
He does, yeah.
And how readily readable it might be.
See, toils away, coming in from that far end, and bowls to Hill, and Hill goes back, and there's the googly you're talking about. It jagged back at him and played it away on the onside, and they go through for a single. 81 for 1. Serene progress here for the visitors. Way back on Monday, won the toss, elected to field. And now they've got to justify that decision by getting 4 batting points, or 4 or 5, of course, if they can get to 450. That is a big ask. Patel on 46, waits now. Long off is right back on the boundary as he pushes forward and is nearly caught at slip. Let's see if that dropped short or went through him, but it was a chance to Lloyd, I think it is, at slip.
I think it hit him on the ankle.
We will see.
Did it carry?
And just watch the replay.
It did.
On the ankle it did. Yeah.
Carried on the full. It might just have flicked the gloves of Cook as well. And, Swepson creating a chance there. Patel fortunate.
Here he is again. This time he's bowling to Hill, and he took a single. This is a good over. Forced him on the back foot, and he just probing away is midst Swepson here. I think it's 4 times he's played for Australia, so he was full leg spinner. Lloyd crouching again at slip where he missed that chance. So the next ball comes in and is left and very close to the off stump. A good over that from Swepson. Half a chance, well, more than, what do you say, 3/4 with the ball going down and hitting on the boot.
I think that was a genuine chance. Right. You've got to, on a pitch like this, as you've pointed out, you've got to hold everything, haven't you, really, that the bowlers can create. And let down a bit there, Swepson, by his skipper. And a little bit of a fortunate break for Rishi Patel, who is approaching what would be his third half-century of the season. He's also got 3 centuries, so it's been a real breakthrough season in those terms for Rishi Patel. And as former head coach Paul Nixon has made the point that the runs are starting to be noticed, but what people really notice are big centuries. And
he's a good player.
He represents to some extent Leicestershire's future if
he stays.
Exactly that.
I don't trust these big counties.
James Harris then is going to take over the bowling from James McElroy. He's going to go over the wicket to the aforementioned Rishi Patel. Bowls outside of stump, flashed away for 4, and that is Rishi Patel's third half-century of the season. Got on top of the bounce, hit it behind square, down to the wide third man, and raises his bat to his teammates on the pavilion, and a reasonable crowd actually. I noticed when I was outside, it was down below us in particular. It's fairly well populated, the most probably of the games so far.
Well, they know they're going to have a pretty good day because everything's forecast was for a fine day, basically. A couple of showers in the morning and they'd soon clear. So they thought, yes, well, we've been starved of any cricket the first 2 days.
74 balls, 8 fours for Rishi Patel as Harris is in, bowls to him down the leg side, and was there to be put away, and Patel will probably feel he rather missed out there. Rehearses the pull into the grandstand. What he must be certain to do in his own mind is not give it away now, not get casual, as just sometimes he can do. There's an opportunity here for a really big score on a good pitch without too much pressure, and he's got to take advantage of that opportunity.
Harris used to be a seam bowler, relies a lot now on swing.
In he goes and bowls to Patel, who stands up tall and plays firmly, and on drive out towards Tim van der Hoogten at mid-on. I remember James Harris's sort of breakthrough, genuinely sort of far side of medium, and
he's a wonderful young bowler.
Considered a huge prospect, wasn't he? And then went off to Middlesex, and it didn't happen for him one way or another. And back on home ground, turns, as it has been for a while. Turns, runs in and bowls, gets a little bit of bounce, but Patel rides it nicely and guides it down towards third man. It's a long chase back for Al Hassan, puts in the slide, drags it back a yard inside the ropes, throws to Cook, but Patel picks up 3. Harris stands mid-pitch with both hands on his hips as though someone else is to blame other than he. Nobody was really to blame other than he and the batsman.
We watched 4 balls of this over from Harris. It all goes defensive. A third man goes there, man comes over to reinforce the offside, because at the pace Harris bowls, anything offline will be dispatched quite easily.
Military medium now, isn't it, these days?
6 men now on that offside.
Goes in and bowls to Patel, who, I beg your pardon, to Hill, of course, having taken 3. Hill cuts, and not for the first time this morning. The ball is cut off by Al Hassan diving to his right.
Did you notice that, Richard, that after he'd hit it, and if you hit it at the bottom of the bat, you do pins and needles. That's what he was wringing his hands, and I guess that again epitomises the slowness of the pitch.
It did jar his right hand, as you say, Eddie. 2 slips alongside Cook as Harris is in. 2 Hill, bounce outside off stump, but Hill this time lets it go through, doesn't try and cut it away. A third man having been posted. End of the over. 7 from it, a 4 and a 3 to Patel. The doctor repeats what I previously told you. 74 balls and 8 fours in reaching his 50. And he's now past 750 runs for the first class season.
Here come the Glamorgan coaching staff, well, a lot of coaching staff, there are lots of coaches here, but the two main ones, Matthew Maynard and David Harrison, walking just in front of us, as they do in every game, perambulating along, and just thinking, what can Glamorgan's attack do? What can we advise them in the lunch interval? I'm afraid not much on this pitch. As Swepson starts another over, and bowls to Patel, who comes forward and pushes the leg break away onto the offside, which suggests that there was a little bit of turn there, minimal.
He beat him in the flight there a little bit.
Yeah.
But as you say, it's just not quick enough,
not
is
bouncy, isn't it?
No.
Here he is again then. In and bowls. Patel goes back and cracks that away through the offside. Is he going to be stopped there?
Great work.
My word, it
by
was.
Carlson.
Carlson, the captain, out on the extra cover boundary. I didn't think he get anywhere near it. Draws applause from the coaching staff as well, and stopped certainly stopped 2 runs. The Patel goes up to 56. He's got a chance here to fill his boots, isn't he, on this pitch?
Yes.
There's Swepson, the leg spinner, and Googly bowls, and that's a good delivery. Pushes forward as Patel.
He is genuinely averaging over 50, if that makes sense. This
Yes,
is his
I know what you mean.
16th innings, only 1 not out.
And if you open the bowling, you're subject to the best of the bowling, probably. But the swing of this is the next he comes down the pitch, plays it up to mid-on, who's rather deep, and they go through for a leisurely single. Mid-off is way back on the long off boundary for Patel, but he comes in about 20 or 30 yards for Hill, who's at the only 6 of the innings, and that off Swepson in his 5th over, 0 for 27, is it? Yeah, 27. And he comes, bowls to Hill this time, and Hill goes to that shot again over sort of wide-ish mid-on, and again he's cleared the ropes for 6.
That was beautifully timed, wasn't it? Because
just,
it was a massive follow-through, just slapped it away.
Put the left leg, and away to go, easy as you like. And the run's coming quite easily, nearly up to 4, 3.79. And Glamorgan will start thinking, right, I think we'd better put some people back here and try and stem this onslaught. Swepson again to the Leicestershire captain, Lewis Hill. That's too short. Cut away, that'll be 4. So Swepson now rather expensive on this unresponsive pitch. Pitch one too short, and Hill is rather enjoying himself here.
Well, he too has had a pretty good season with the bat so far. He's averaging 44. He's got 2 centuries and 3 half centuries. He's gone past 600 runs for the season in this innings, and he's enjoying batting higher up the order, I think, having been promoted to number 3, not having the wicket-keeping job, as you've pointed out, and it seems to have freed him up a little, freed up his batting, if you like, in that respect. And he freely acknowledges that he was very close to being let go by the club.
Was he?
Very, very close.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
That's a surprise.
Wasn't
been a
scoring
good
enough
signing.
runs. Yeah, potentially.
Now then, what are we waiting for?
The ball to be
the ball.
retrieved, because nobody in that grandstand has now been retrieved, and it will be examined.
Yeah, carry on, it's fine. In the last couple of games, Harris has come on, and he's taken wickets in his 1st or 2nd over. So that's what Glamorgan will hope that he'll do now, is a sort of a change of speed. If you look at his speed, it's nothing like really
late 70s, isn't
Yeah.
it, these days? 18 wickets so far this season. Runs in and bowls full outside off stump. It was there to be hit away. Got a thick inside edge on it. Rishi Patel, and bounced onto his sort of inside part of his pad and then bounced out into the offside. I suspect he missed out there.
Well, perfect example of the slowness of the pitch, Richard. On a good true pitch, that would have been 4 through extra cover.
Rishi Patel has a First Division Championship winners medal
With Essex.
to his name, as you say, with Essex 2019, when he made 4 championship appearances. In goes Harris, bowls short, up on his toes goes Patel, drops the short ball back down the pitch on the off side. When they won the title in 2019, also made a List A debut that year.
So with the departures, obviously they would look at other counties to see who's on offer.
Indeed.
Or offer some people a lucrative contract, take it from there.
Harris is in, bowl slightly short. Patel, tall man, up on his toes, plays it firmly out into the offside. Michael Neser doesn't field the ball cleanly initially. Patel thinks there might be a quick single in it, but realises it's only gone a yard or 2 behind him. He's 24, Rishi Patel. He signed a 2-year contract when he came, I think it was 2-year contract when he came to Leicestershire, and assuming that is correct, then it is due to expire at the end of this season. Harris is in, bowls to him, he plays firmly through the offside, and a rather weary looking Neser turns, and knowing that it was going to be impossible to chase down, but a beautiful piece of timing from Patel, who is looking a class act on this, say, relatively comfortable pitch, and there's an opportunity for him to go big here. He moves on to 61, 106 for 1 Leicestershire.
Already over 500 runs scored in a day and a bit.
But they do need to secure him on a long-term basis, the Foxes, and as I say,
he's worth a 3-year now. Just bang it down there.
Well, he absolutely is, but whether he wants to sign it,
yeah.
that is the question. Harris is in, bowls to him, he slashes outside off stump and almost gives it away. We almost talked him out there, didn't we? But it was a
rush, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Just that little rush of blood that sometimes it can almost look kind of too easy for him, and he just loses control momentarily, throws the bat at it, could easily have got a little top edge through to Cook.
Yep.
Didn't. Fortunate not to do so.
What's the adjective of youth?
Harris is in, bowls and defended off the back foot by Patel, 2-point, and there's no run. Impetuosity
Of youth. We'll say 24. Wish we were 24, Richard. We would.
It's been a while.
We might be out there, I guess. I doubt it.
We might. Never quite good enough, I'm afraid.
Right, 106 for 2, and Leicestershire go along very comfortably here. Glamorgan will want to try and get some bowling points, and they have the advantage at the moment, Leicestershire, having picked up the maximum 3 after they reduced Glamorgan at 93 for 7 at one stage. And Swepson, despite being punished with 10 runs in the last over, will continue. And he hasn't got that man where he was more or less cow-cornered, wide of long on for 2 sixes, as if to say, well, try it again. Hill has moved on to 37, and he's got an orthodox feel for the leg spinner now, as Swepson. From the river end comes in and bowls, and that's very short and cut away. And fortunately for Glamorgan, their best fielder, Carlson, is patrolling that extra cover boundary. He used to be a close wicket fielder, then he went to mid-on as captain, advising, etc., etc. He's been in the gully, and now he's out of deep extra cover. But the advantage is that he's a very good fielder anywhere. Back goes mid-off onto the boundary to long off as Swepson comes in to Patel and bowls to him. And that came back, the googly.
It's a bit low as well. Slid on a little bit.
Glamorgan will hope it might just go lower and slower. although most bowlers like pace. Swepson, wide of the crease this time, bowls the length ball, which is pushed away. The over rate is level. And if Swepson keeps on bowling, he bowled 38 overs in the last game, then Glamorgan will be quite happy with the over rate. As he bowls again, he has the reverse sweep coming out straight to the man stationed there for it, and just as well he didn't lift that.
I'm not sure I like to see that.
Not when you're playing so well, because you have a chance of being caught and have a chance of an LBW. Swepson coming in again to the right-handed Patel, and Patel this time goes off the back foot and gently hits it down to long off for a single.
I sometimes think he gets a little bit bored, Rishi Patel.
David,
I don't know.
yeah. David Lloyd, the former England coach, Bumble of course, said, why play a shot like that when you give a chance to the bowler instead of driving it as he did then down for a single, playing an orthodox shot? And he's quite right. Last ball of the over from Swepson, and bowls to Hill, and Hill gets a short ball which he cuts away and is going to be stopped again, and he turns potential boundary into one. He saved some runs now there, Carlson, today. It's the end of the over, 109 for 1, and they trail by 294, and at this rate they could equal Glamorgan's 400, because, Richard, you don't see the threat of a wicket coming from anywhere, do you? Unless the batsman plays some foolish shots.
Yeah, exactly that. It might be partly a case of giving it away, but these two, a real opportunity. Wicket fell on 29, so they've added 80 so far for the second wicket. Lewis Hill has 39. He's going to be on strike to James Harris, number 9 on his back, centre forward, turns, runs in and bowls very full. Hill strokes it rather than drives it out towards mid-off, and it is just a single. Root makes something of a meal of fielding away to his left.
I think you'd find they call them strikers.
Strikers these days, yes, they're not.
Nobody
yes.
knows what centre halves and wing halves are.
Centre halves kind of still exist, don't they? In a way. Wing halves, I think, yeah, I agree. That's probably.
Wing backs.
Wing back. As Harris is in, bowls a slightly better length, and Hill is drawn forward, pushing again out towards Root, and again jars his hand slightly.
You think you're describing birds, don't you? Wing backs, things like that. That'll be upon us in 3 weeks, of course.
Next week the World Cup starts. The football.
Yeah, the EFL starts in 3 weeks, and then not long after, the big boys.
The wealthy boys.
And then there'll be nothing about cricket on the back pages, not that there is a lot now.
Harris is in, bowls straight, and Hill goes back, just dabs it around towards mid-wicket. Van der Hoogten jogs across from mid-on to field. Carlson, busy and active, comes running up to have a quick word with Van der Hoogten.
Nothing much, as I say, on the back pages, but you can hear every ball of the season on this very channel and throughout the country where county cricket is played.
And next season, and hopefully beyond that, but we don't know yet. We're still waiting to find out. In goes Harris and bowls a short ball. Patel hooks him around the corner, and it bounces a couple of times before being stopped down there, running around from sort of fine leg towards long leg. I think it's McElroy down there. It was a left arm throw anyway, and good work to save 3. Basically,
lots of people are ambidextrous, aren't they? They bat and they can throw right or left, and I envy those people.
Do this delivery and then have to pop next door to do an update. Harris, longish run, Comes in past umpire Baldwin and bowls to Lewis Hill, who's looking to pull it around the corner. It doesn't really get up. He appeals nonetheless for a leg before, but it still hit Hill quite high. Was probably, well, as in the opinion of umpire Baldwin, yes, it was going over the top, but it was fairly straight. Didn't quite stay down low enough. 111 for 1.
Nelson is on the board as Richard goes to talk to the good people of Leicestershire, Rutland and Leicestershire, and Nick will be coming in to take his place and probably remain as I finish my hour's stint. James Harris then in again and bows to Hill. Hill gets a bouncer which sails over his head. Mark you at 5'7", 5'8". It doesn't go very high. End of the over, and it's 111 for 1, 63 to Patel. Hill is on 40. In Leicestershire now in charge as they try and get as many batting points as they can. It's not out of the question that they could get the full maximum. They picked up the 3 for bowling. The way that these two are playing on this very benign pitch, Nick Webb, you wouldn't put it out of the question, would you?
Just trying to do the maths. So 339 needed for maximum points in 74 overs. That's 4.5-ish, I think, off the top of my head.
Well, they're going nearly
close to 5
now, aren't they?
Yeah. Here's Swapson then. 0 for 35 in 6 overs. Been hit for a couple of sixes by Hill, and that's a decent ball that Patel almost falls over himself as he digs it out and plays it back to the bowler. So long off is back. Mid on is still halfway up, as if to say, try and hit me. Swapson is in to bowl, and that's played by Patel to northeast to cover, who juggles with it, but takes it. Just the slip in terms of close catches, although you could count northeast as a close catch. Who's on the drive on the offside. There's also another cover fielder and a sweeper. Pitched up and driven by Patel up to long off, all along the ground for a single. 112 for 1. Patel to 64 not out. And for the other batter, Lewis Hill, one of the offside fielders, just moves round to mid-wicket. So, different approach to the two Leicestershire men. Swapson to Hill on 40 not out. That's short and flat and punched through the offside to sweeper Carlson for a single.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that you're pushing him long off back and you're long on for Patel, but the 2 sixes have been hit by Hill over between sort of cow corner and long on.
Patel back on strike. Must be difficult to remember who's hit what, to be honest. Got so much going through your head as a captain. Hill suffered a bit in the final session yesterday as Neser in the tail end cut loose. Swapson bowls, worked into the offside by Patel fairly gently. Carlson comes in off the boundary in front of the grandstand, and they're through for a single. 114 for 1. Glamorgan need to create some pressure from somewhere.
Nothing there, is there?
Swapson bowls, and that's another one from Hill. Over wide long on. This time it's a 4, and Hill is rather enjoying tucking into Swapson at the moment. That's 3 very emphatic shots in that area of the ground. He moves on to 45, and the total on to 118 for 1, with 7 runs coming off the over. So after Neser's early breakthrough, having Budinger caught behind off the gloves for 5 off a short delivery, there's been the one chance when David Lloyd at slip couldn't hang on to one from Patel, and that could be a vital miss, really, as Leicestershire have gone along pretty serenely apart from that.
It's difficult for the captain, Carlson, here, because we might think, well, 20 minutes to go before lunch, do we bring Neser back?
Neil Thornycroft on Twitter, should Glamorgan put everyone back and try to stop Leicestershire getting bonus points? Well, no, I'd suggest the opposite, to be honest.
Yes, Harris starts in the over, and this is driven and well fielded at cover. As Richard comes back to take my place, we'll do a little bit of musical chairs again, so forgive us if you don't hear a sound. We're not going off the air.
As we will be going off the air, actually, Edward, because it's suddenly pouring with rain, and having looked at the Met Office and the BBC forecast to see no more than 5-10% chance of rain on every given hour, that 5 or 10% has come to bear, because it's absolutely hammering down at the moment. And I suspect at 12:35, if the sausages are cooked or whatever, then we might be heading for an early luncheon, because this is an absolute downpour and spectators around us are heading for cover. So Leicestershire 118 for 1, Patel is 65, Hill is 45, and we will take the break and be back with you as and when there's anything more to report.
The news, everyone, from the middle is that play will be restarting 5 minutes time to 1 lost ball.
Well, good afternoon and welcome back to Sophia Gardens, where the rain break, thankfully, has been limited. Thought they might go for an early lunch, but we're going to get around about 10 minutes play before the scheduled interval. The rain was sudden, unexpected and very heavy briefly, and we have lost, as a result of it, 4 overs play. And not surprised to see a ground staff dumping some sawdust down in the footholes, because that was the danger, wasn't it, Richard, that water getting on the wickets would make it slightly hazardous for the bowlers. But we shall see. James Harris will be the first to put it to the test.
Yeah, it has certainly, the shower changed the colour of the sort of dust around the footmarks. It does look quite dark there now, and Harris has spread a fair amount of sawdust. Won't help Glamorgan's cause if the ball, which doesn't really help the bowlers anyway, spends the next 10 minutes or so getting damp on the outfield. The rope has been round and numerous times actually, courtesy of the rather swift little tractors used by the Glamorgan ground staff, so they'll have taken the worst of it off, but we'll still get a little bit damp and won't do it too much good. It is 30 overs old, 30.1 overs old, 68.5 remain to be bowled today. Harris, who had just started his over when the shower came from nowhere, it seemed, it came overhead, continues from the Cathedral Road end of the ground and bowls to Patel, who leans forward and pushes the delivery off middle and leg out towards mid-on, where it is carefully and pointedly dried by Tim van der Hoekten, using the bottom part of his sleeve and now the back of his trousers to make sure. Umpire Baldwin remarks the crease where Harris's front foot had just landed. Patel on 65, Hill on 45. Patel, it is awaiting the arrival of Harris, goes in and bowls to him. He tucks it away slightly more slowly towards Van der Hoogten this time, and as a consequence is able to take a comfortable single. He moves on to 66, 119 for one, the partnership now worth 90.
4.83 is the required run rate if Leicestershire are targeting maximum points, which has obviously gone up because of losing 4 overs. It's doable, but quite demanding.
Yeah, the rate at the moment just under 4s. If these two stay together for any length of time, the ball does get markedly softer, as tends to be the case after lunch. Then, as Nick said, it isn't out of the question. In goes Harris, bowls a bouncer, and Hill just leans to one side, leans sort of eastwards towards the sea, towards the city and the sea. It's 45. Has come off 65 balls. Patel's 66 off 99. They're both scoring at a similar sort of rate. Harris is in and bowls. Hill gets a slightly short ball, drops it out into the offside, takes a couple of steps forward, but then that very familiar, slightly shrill call of no echoes across Cardiff, as it does so often across Grace Road, as Ul Hassan closes on the ball from point. Big gap in the covers, inviting Hill to drive, and from Glamorgan's point of view, hopefully edge one behind or to the waiting slips. Harris, as the sun comes back out, bowls that tempter outside off stump, foolish, swinging away, but Hill not to be tempted with lunch now just 8 minutes away. End of the over. 119 for 1 is the score.
No declaration yet in Hove, where these two sides will be hoping that Sussex don't press on to victory, or indeed Derbyshire. Sussex are 316 for 7 in their second innings, thanks to a big recovery, really, led by James Coles, 144 not out.
Neither of us would mind if Derbyshire won, would we? At the bottom, and
they're still they're far enough behind, are they?
Absolutely,
Okay.
and it would deprive Sussex of the 5 points for the draw.
Yeah, fair enough. Worcestershire at New Road, 49 for 2 in their second innings, still 116 runs short of avoiding an innings defeat against Yorkshire. Durham beat Gloucestershire last night, when pleased to see that England women reached 267 for 8 in a one-day international against Australia to keep the Ashes format alive.
So Zain Ul Hassan, looking for his first class wicket, is going to have a go before lunch. Well, first. Well, it will be.
First class wicket, correct. Yes, he's made a reasonable impression with the bat, but not yet with the ball. As in comes Ul Hassan to bowl to Patel, down leg side, well taken by Chris Cook.
Smart work.
Good take. The keeper standing up to the medium pacer. Slip David Lloyd is about 10 metres behind him.
70 miles an hour, just over.
Very much medium pace of the sort Lloyd himself propels. Lloyd has 5 wickets this season. In comes Ul Hassan. Bowls wide, slapped away towards cover point by Patel. Single out to the sweeper on the grandstand.
Should be quicker. He fairly scampers up to the crease, but doesn't come through very quickly, does it?
No, Glamorgan have not got a huge degree of pace in this lineup, to be fair. Neser and Van der Hoogten leading the way. The rest are just medium or just faster, as Hill just dead bats one out into the offside. No run. 120 for 1. well, Glamorgan have used 6 bowlers already. There are quite a few part-time options in this side, with Lloyd yet to use himself, and the off-spin of Kieran Carlson, who has taken 6 wickets this season. Ul Hassan bowls, and they will take a single as Hill again pretty much dead bats it, but does so into a gap on the offside, and they go through for a comfortable single. 121 for 1 now, Leicestershire, in reply to Glamorgan's 403 for 9 declared. Michael Neser's 176 not out. So far, the defining moment or memory of this game. And Leicestershire looking to rack up the runs in reply as Patel drives nicely into the offside. Single out to Carlson again. Patel missed on 46 by Lloyd at slip-off Swapson. Hill so far yet to offer a catching chance, and has struck the ball impressively on occasion.
I was going to go and look for one of Neser's sixes last night.
As Ul Hassan is into bowl, and forward comes Hill, defending to mid-on. No run, 122 for 1 at the end of the over.
Because I was running up the Taff Trail, which sort of runs behind the ground, where he struck one of the sixes, but there's a kind of big fence, obviously, between the boundary of the ground and the back of the grandstands. The sharpish spikes atop, so I didn't try and scramble over and see if I could find it in the debris behind the grandstand. I would have been interested to see the state of the Kookaburra ball. They showed me it at Grace Road last week, but the seam had almost disappeared, the 80 over ball. Harris then, will this be the final over before lunch? It might be. Goes running in and bowls to Rishi Patel, who wristily, defensively, works it back down the pitch on the onside, slightly short of a length delivery. Underhooked and picks up and polishes vigorously on the back of his right trousers.
Just looking to see, we will get a second new ball available to Glamorgan at some point in the evening session.
Should they progress beyond 5 o'clock, in goes Harris, bowls a very loopy leg side bouncer. Signalled 1 for the over. Patel ignores it.
You'd think that, if this innings is still going at 5, which seems very much likely, that the two teams will need to press on in search of points, won't they?
Depends, if it's 400 for 9, which
yes,
they'd be very happy. I think both teams would
we just call it
take that. Yeah.
Scores level, let's all go home.
Yeah, points level. Harris is in, bowls outside off stump, punched into the offside, but half stopped there at extra cover. Deflected on towards mid-off. Good work there by Sam Northeast. Out of the slips now. Lloyd and Neser was out there in the cover, so they do occasionally swap positions. Neser now at second slip. Northeast, who normally fields at second slip, is now at extra cover. Harris is in and bowls. Foolish, thick inside edge from Rishi Patel. Maybe just dipped back in a little to him. It runs out behind square on the leg side. Certainly not where he was aiming. Picks up a single. Moves on to 69. 1, 2, 3 for 1. This will be the final over before lunch.
Yeah, it'll be 26 bowled in the morning session, but we lost 4 because of rain, so the over 8 will be there or thereabouts.
Harris turns, runs in and bowls full outside. Well, not quite so full actually, slightly shorter than that. Outside off stump. Hill goes back, rocks back, cuts it away down towards third man. Swepson, the fielder down there, picks it up with a white towel hanging out of the back of his trousers and apologises for a throw which was slightly awry. Didn't cost Glamorgan anything. Hill moves on to 47. Doesn't look like he's going to get his 50 before lunch, as there is only the one ball remaining now. Harris is in to Patel, who defends very carefully, making sure he is there at the interval. That is now lunch. Leicestershire will take lunch on 124 for 1, having lost just the one wicket in the morning session. That of Sol Budinger got a good bouncer from Michael Neser, couldn't evade it, clipped his glove, we think, as it went through to wicketkeeper Chris Cook. Budinger on just 5 at that stage, 29 for 1, but since then no joy for Glamorgan. Leicestershire therefore trail by 279 runs as everybody leaves the field in a fairly sort of relaxed sort of way. It is all now about the chase for bonus points, bowling thereof for Glamorgan, batting thereof for Leicestershire. They're 279 behind, as I say, still on first innings, and Nick and Eddie and myself will be back with you in around about 35 minutes or so time.
I've got some lunchtime scores from the other games in the LV Insurance County Championship. Here at Sophia, all these games are in their final day, starting at Taunton, where Hampshire, following on, are 78 for 5, still trailing Somerset by 92 runs. At Hove, Sussex are 322 for 2 in their second innings, leading Derbyshire by 317 runs. It's lunch at New Road, where Worcestershire, following on, are 49 for 2, still trailing Yorkshire by 116 runs. At Northwood, that's Merchant Taylor School, there's been a little bit of rain this morning there as well, and at lunch Middlesex is 61 for 2, still requiring 262 runs from a minimum.
Not a very productive morning for Glamorgan. Leicestershire 124 for 1, so no chance of Glamorgan forcing a victory. It'll just be a battle for bonus points. Glamorgan made 403 for 9 after most of the first 2 days were rained off. One wicket this morning. Michael Neser had Sol Budinger caught behind for 5, but Rishi Patel batting well on 69 not out after being dropped on 46. Lewis Hill is 47 not out, and Leicestershire at lunch are 124 for 1.
For 1, so Lancashire still require a further 290 runs to win. A reminder that the official Glamorgan website, www.glamorgancricket.com, contains details of how to purchase tickets for all forthcoming games here at Sophia Gardens this summer. That includes the one-day international when England meet New Zealand on the 8th of September. And also on the official Glamorgan website are details of the various matchday hospitality packages which are available for all the remaining games here at Sophia Gardens, including those during August when the Welsh Fire take part in the 100. If you haven't obtained a score sheet so far, well, they're available free of charge from reception, which is situated on the ground floor of the Patches Pavilion. You can also purchase a copy of the 2023 Glamorgan Yearbook from reception, or alternatively the Glamorgan Club shop, which is run by Missouri Sports and situated opposite Gate 2. It's going to be open until just a turn of 5 o'clock this evening, and as always, it's selling a wide range of cricket equipment and other items, including replica Glamorgan kit and a range of recently published cricket books. Food and drink can be purchased from the kiosk situated in the concourse area beneath the pavilion stand. You can also obtain food and drink from the mobile unit underneath the Castell House stand. You can also purchase snacks from the vending machines situated on the ground floor of the National Cricket Centre. The CC4 Museum of Welsh Cricket will be open until the end of the tea interval today. Don't forget that will be at approximately 4 o'clock with tea being taken at 3:40. The museum is situated on the first floor of the National Cricket Centre, and there are many displays which are well worth a visit. The latest one being some interesting information thanks to Year 6 pupils from Pencaira Primary School who, through a generous grant from the Royal Society, have undertaken a project looking at cricket in a warmer and wetter world, and their ideas are looking ahead to the year 2050 and how cricket stadia, such as here at Sophia Gardens, might have additional facilities to cope with warmer and potentially wetter weather. Now, talking about our links with local schools, we're delighted to welcome onto the outfield staff and pupils from Fitzallen High School, who are going to be giving us a demonstration of their quick cricketing skills. And finally, Glamorgan Cricket would like to welcome everyone here today to Sophia Gardens. We stand against all forms of discrimination, and there is no place for it in our sport. We will embrace and celebrate differences everywhere, knowing that with diversity together we are stronger. We are dedicated to raising the game, and here at Glamorgan Cricket you can report an issue or concerning confidence by alerting your nearest steward. Thank you very much, Diolch yn fawr iawn, for helping us to raise the game and to call out any form of discrimination.
Good afternoon, welcome back to Sophia Gardens for the second session on the final day of Glamorgan against Leicestershire. Unfortunately, it is the final day after we had 181 overs of the match rained off before today, and we've lost another 4 today, so effectively half the game washed out, and it is the battle for bonus points. Leicestershire 124 for 1 in reply to Glamorgan's 403 for 9 declared. One item of interest for Glamorgan supporters during the lunch interval was that Dan Douthwaite, the injured all-rounder who suffered a side strain early in the T20 blast and missed more than half the competition, has been running up and down at a reasonable pace and bowling as well on one of the practice wickets, so good news to see him fit again, even if he doesn't feature in the next couple of championship games. I'm sure everyone will wish him the best for his Welsh fire appearances in the 100.
Looks a big strong boy.
Yes. Took 10
to try and tackle him.
10 wickets in the first 6 T20 games, but then got crocked. As for more immediate matters at hand, Zain Ul Hassan is going to open up
continue,
this afternoon.
which is an admission in itself, isn't it? An acknowledgement in itself that it,
One further spell from Neser, I think, with this old ball, possibly. Short one. Maybe he doesn't fancy it. Maybe it's just a chance to give someone like Ul Hassan a few overs and show what he can do, although not in the most advantageous of conditions.
Just on the subject of players warming up during the lunch interval, fill you in on that in a moment.
Ul Hassan will come in from the River Taff end and bowl to Lewis Hill outside off stump. No shot played.
Leicestershire supporters will be reasonably pleased to hear that Bjorn Mulder spent a fair chunk of the lunch interval bowling at a reasonable pace on the practice wicket. So the hope expressed by Lewis Hill yesterday that Mulder would be fit to bowl at Oakham next week against Worcestershire looks likely to be fulfilled.
As Ul Hassan is in to bowl to the aforementioned Hill. Oh, has he played that on? No, nearly. It's bounced back over the stumps, I think.
He kicked it away. He kicked it over them.
Boot to it, did he?
Let's have a look, see. I'm pretty sure he turned and kicked it. I don't think it was going to, he did.
No.
It wasn't going to go onto the stumps anyway.
No, it's missing leg stump just about, but he got a boot to it, which of course he is entitled to do, having previously hit the ball. 124 for 1. Well, Ul Hassan close to his maiden wicket as he's on his way bustling in, and Hill defends on the leg side and there's no run. It's probably the nearest Glamorgan have got to getting rid of Lewis Hill, who's on 47 not out.
Played and missed a couple from McIlroy. Relatively early in his innings, but that's been about it.
Patel dropped at 46, now on 69. Could be costly. Ul Hassan in to bowl to Hill. Leaves it go through outside off stump. Cook dealing neatly with it, standing up to the medium pacer. So Leicestershire back in action on Wednesday of next week, giving the break for the T20 finals on the weekend, which is the reason there's a slightly longer gap than usual between championship fixtures. Ul Hassan bowls, and again no shot played by Hill through to Cook outside off stump. Glamorgan, for some reason, at Gloucestershire is a day later than everyone else. Yet to discover why that is.
Neser's warming up, actually. He's brought a couple of looseners at Gully.
I think we'll see one burst from him in the afternoon, and then possibly a couple of overs with the new ball later in the day. As Ul Hassan finds the inside edge of Hill's bat, and he plays one down towards fine leg, takes the single. 48 to Hill, 125 for 1, but a couple of unconvincing shots from the skipper in that over.
Yeah, he was caused a problem or two by Ul Hassan, who has conceded just 4 runs from his 2 overs. And as I suggested, Michael Neser is going to come on from the Cathedral Road end and have a little go at breaking this partnership, which is now worth 96. I think gesturing away towards deep backward square and long leg. Now, whether that implies he's going to drop a few short, both these batters, although they've swayed out of the way of a few bouncers, don't mind taking it on from time to time. So it might be worth banging a few in just to see top edge, but there is a sort of shortish boundary down there, isn't it, with the wind behind.
Yes,
it could fly.
It's worth a try. Most things are worth a try when you're
absolutely
struggling for wickets.
Absolutely is. The commentary box windows, double glazed as they are, although some of them do sort of open at the bottom. At the moment, I've noticed this when I go next door to do my updates as well. They're festooned with spiders' webs, and around the edges, obviously. As Neser runs away from us and bowls to Hill, who's squared up. He gets a thick outside edge, flies down towards third man. Could have gone anywhere. And he's fortunate that he's picking up a single to move on to 49. That extra Neser effort and bounce making all the difference. And Hill, who has looked extremely insecure post-lunch, having looked very secure pre-lunch, so just taking his time to get back into his batting, survives, fortunately.
Yeah, that's 3 false shots, isn't it, in the space of 7 balls.
He's down at the non-striker's end, looking at the edge of his bat. Neser bustles in and bowls to Patel, who is calm in defence, pushing the ball back straight down the wicket towards the bearded Australian. But those spiders are all active, picking up lots of little bugs and what have you from the air. turns. He at least will be used to the kookaburra. Runs in and bowls short, but down the leg side, and Patel, having stepped inside the line, lifts his bat well out of the line over the ball.
Yeah, you get the feeling that the generally harder surfaces in Australia possibly work with the kookaburra in the way that the slightly softer surfaces in the UK have not over the last couple of weeks. It's not an experiment I'd like to see extended.
No, not on the evidence we've had so far. Neser is in, bowl short, nicely played by Patel, who got up on his toes and just guided it down with sort of wristy flick almost through the gully down towards third man in control. Picks up one, moves on to 70, 127 for one.
Yeah, we've had a message from Ian Holmes on the venue for Glamorgan's one-day game away to Derbyshire on Twitter.
You going to Epton?
Well, he says that he's heard it, and he's based in the north of England, Ian, so he's obviously heard rumours as well. Wait to see any official confirmation. I don't know why they'd move it so late, though.
Neser is in, bowls down the leg side. Hill gestures at the ball. Neser, having heard something he thinks, turns and sort of politely inquires of umpire Baldwin whether it might have been a little bit of bat or glove or to the pad. No, is the answer. Who are playing at Derby? I don't know whether that's to do with that, but I would imagine not.
Well,
they do take over the ground.
Our colleague Mr. Fletcher says he doesn't believe it's the case that the game will be moved.
Oh right, okay. If the Who don't do any damage, which their history suggests could happen, in Who's Neser and bowls line and length and Hill equal to it back down the pitch. Sadly, no Keith Moon, and of course, the grounds are carefully covered by the groups these days. Although I remember Old Trafford being well affected for a long time.
Yeah.
On one side of the ground, by the damage done by, I think it was a Simply Red concert.
Oh gosh. Yes, Mr. Hucknall did strut his stuff here on occasion. My daughter, who was working in hospitality, was not enamoured of his behaviour.
Oh, really?
It's just a bit high and mighty, shall we say. Whereas apparently the Kaiser Chiefs were delighted with whatever food they were supplied with.
Good Yorkshireman all, you see.
Indeed. Here's Ul Hassan then into his third over, is into Patel, and that is worked away on the offside. Single down to backward point, 128 for one. Yes, unfortunately, I think Glamorgan must have had an away match at the time, otherwise I would have liked to have seen that. There are a couple of musical events here in mid-September. I think an ABBA tribute and an 80s style evening rather than any original bands, but enjoy them if you will, as the next delivery from Ul Hassan is played defensively by Hill on the offside. Hill on 49 not out, 81 deliveries.
Yes, I may have mentioned a very famous Welshman coming to play at the Upton Steel County Ground before too long. I think they've sold out pretty much, close to, if not completely. Best part of 15,000 tickets.
Good stuff. Well, nice to hear that Tom is a big draw still. Ul Hassan bowls and Hill tries to cut and misses. Well, he's on 49 not out, 4 fours and 2 sixes, but I'm not sure whether he had something at lunch that disagreed with him, because he's looked a little shaky since. And Ul Hassan is trying his best to keep things tight. Keep a good line just outside off stump. Hill has faced 82 deliveries so far. Ul Hassan on his way. Balls to Hill, that's down leg side, and Chris Cook can't take it, hits him on the end of the glove, and they're through for a couple of buys, I presume. Yeah, buys. It's a ripple of applause for people who probably thought it was Hill's 50, but it isn't.
Well,
it
it's
is,
the
though,
100
100 partnership indeed. Well spotted members of the crowd, they're still awake. 130 for 1, the partnership worth 101.
As I say, it's not a bad turnout down below us.
Yeah, it's just a shame that it's not more of a contest for them to watch rather than just the struggle for points. As another one outside off stumps is Hill trying to cut and missing.
Suddenly he can't lay bat on ball.
It's all very peculiar for a guy who was well set before lunch and launched a couple of big sixes off Swepson to the wide long on boundary, and is having trouble with the bustling medium pace of Al Hassan. Apart from that one down leg side, is generally bowled pretty tight, a decent length, as Hill defends on the offside, and still he remains one short of his half-century, as he has past 600 runs in the course of this innings. 622, I think. My maths is correct. 130 for 1, Leicestershire, and you rather fancy the Foxes' chances of shading the bonus points on this innings. It's 4-3 to Glamorgan on the first innings of proceedings, but Leicestershire, well, 120 to get the first batting point. 2 wickets still required for Glamorgan with the first bowling point.
Michael Neser endeavouring to get them closer to that point. Turns, runs in and bowls short, and up on his toes is Rishi Patel. Everything nicely close together. Straight rising deliveries that drop down into the offside. Applause from Harris. Was it a wideish? Well, he's actually at extra cover really, rather than a wideish mid-off, trying to cover as ever both positions. There's a point. Third man, just a single slip now. Neser has got 3 men out on the leg side at boundary. At fine leg, wide long leg, and square leg. In he goes and bowls, line and length on off stump. He's keeping that leg side bouncer as a surprise delivery, played out into the offside by Patel. Remains on 71.
Still trying to work out this business of why the Cheltenham date a day later. There is a women's game, but it's actually after the Glamorgan game that Western Storm play there against Sunrisers on Monday the 24th of July. So it'll be a quick turnaround from the championship game the following day.
Neser bowls again, a little bit short, but again it's sort of on off stump or just outside line, so Patel can ride the bounce and guide it down through gully, down towards Swepson, who is at third man, still with that sort of towel hanging out of the back of his trousers. Might still be a little bit of moisture around from that short but quite violent shower that just seemed to come from nowhere, really. 131 for 1. Patel playing himself carefully back in. Strike rate has dropped slightly, 72 off 114. Neser is in to Hill. Bouncer. Hill again looks just slightly not completely at ease at the crease. He avoided it, but he sort of went down on one knee and then swivelled round, and it all looked a little bit ungainly.
Yes, I think you can be forgiven for being ungainly when you've got a guy bowling at the pace of Neser.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. But I guess when you're a top level batsman and you're on 49, and certainly I'd be throwing myself to the ground, not worried about how I looked. In goes Neser and bowls shortish down the leg side. Hill steps inside and then doesn't try to whip it away, just gets inside the line and lets it go through. One of the men on the boundary has come out and gone in at pretty much a short leg, although he's a couple of 3 strips back really. Billy Root.
With Glamorgan just having a 1 day between the next 2 championship games, I'm wondering if there will have to be considerable rotation in the seam bowling department.
Neser is in, bowls outside off stump. Foolish, looking to get the ball to swing. It doesn't really. He continues running through because it's the end of the over. 1-3-1-4-1. We've had 37 overs of Leicestershire's reply to Glamorgan's 403 for 9 declared. Patel has 72. Hill has 49.
Wondering whether there will be chances possibly for Andy Gorvin, who's in the squad for this game, possibly for Dan Douthwaite, fit again, maybe even Harry Podmore, who's been forced to bide his time in the seconds after a start to the season that was made considerably less impact than he would have wanted. Well, Hassan is in to bowl, and forward comes Patel, playing on the offside, no run. 131 for 1. I suppose if Neser were left out of the Old Trafford Test match, then he might possibly be released to play for Glamorgan, but he said it was likely that this would be the only game. Al Hassan bowls, and Patel off the back foot plays it firmly to mid-on, and there's no run. The final test match starts a couple of days after Glamorgan's visit to Derby, so not too likely that he'd feature there. Al Hassan bowls, forward comes Patel, plays back to the bowler, flicks it to northeast cover, and there's no run. Leicestershire 131 for 1 in reply to Glamorgan's 403 for 9 declared, but Leicestershire not hit by the sort of batting collapse that Glamorgan had yesterday morning, and it's all looked pretty plain sailing for the Foxes at the moment. Al Hassan into bowl, and Patel works it away on the offside. Carlson fields, the batters take the single, and Hill will come on to strike on a nervous 49, having played and missed several times since lunch. Al Hassan nearly forced him to play on 47, managed to kick it away, though I don't think it was on the stumps anyway. Al Hassan in to bowl to Hill, who's forward, defending up to mid-off. Al Hassan 71.6, medium pace it is.
Doing some maths, Nick. 60 overs, shall we say, left.
Yours.
We'll work on that. 61, but never mind about that. 60 times 4 is 240.
Yep.
That gives you 370. So they'll have to motor a bit, won't they?
Yeah, they'll look for 400, you would have thought. Al Hassan bowls, and Hill thought he had his half century there because he cut it hard down into the ground, but it was well fielded by Harris at backward point, who flicked it back to Cook. And Hill remains on 49 not out, 132 for 1. So, yes, to get to...
And it's not 2020 where you've got to have certain fielders in the pitch. You can put 9, as Leicestershire did yesterday on the boundary, and say, off you go then.
Well, hopefully, if Leicestershire do press on in the search of bonus points, then that will also increase the chances of Glamorgan taking wickets and getting points of their own. So,
and more entertainment for the crowd.
Indeed.
Must remember them. People tend to forget that they contribute to players' wages, etc. But at the moment it's rather stalemate. 132 for 1. Michael Neser throwing everything he can into the benign pitch as he prepares now, comes in and bowls to Patel, who just plays defensively out to mid-off. Love to know what the chat was, wouldn't you?
What, over the potential
Potential
declaration?
deck, yeah. He might have said, okay, we'll pull in now.
Pull in now, 375 in a day's play.
375 in a days.
Would have been a good game.
Yes. On this, I'm sure that if Hill knew how this pitch was going to play, he would have perhaps bargained a little bit longer. Neser bowls a bouncer. It goes over Patel's head. That's a dot ball. 132 for 173 to Patel, looking for his 4th century this season. Hill is in 49. Glamorgan, not a bonus point yet. And the visitors, what are they? About 130, 120, 130 behind their first bonus point. 60.4 overs left, and he's bangs that in, and it's driven and trickles to mid-off. Neser puts his hands on his head to think, he's a great try, and you like to see that. He might be in the Australian lineup and possibly play in the final test, but coming in here and trying everything he can for Glamorgan. Sending his cover back to the boundary, and just guess what that's the reason for. He's got 3 men back. In he comes and bowls to Patel, who leaves outside the off stump. Fine leg and a mid wicket and a man in between that, just backward of square. But Patel is not for hooking. For 1 ball he sent back the man at extra cover to the boundary, and now he's back in again. Neser in, bowls to Patel, who just pushes it away onto the offside. 5 dot balls in this over. Neser's 7. I'll just describe the last one, and Richard will come back. Over 8 is level. The sun is shining, and nothing else much I can tell you. Nick has got a pink shirt on, looks very smart.
Thank you. I'm going to St David's Hall later.
Who's on there?
Some sort of jazz prom event,
Oh.
I'm told.
In other words, Mrs. Webb has ordered you to go. In comes Neser and bowls, and there is no run.
I prefer to say invited, Edward.
Okay, invited by Mrs. Webb. We'll buy you gin and tonic in the foyer and at lunchtime in the interval, and enjoy your night. Anyway, I've enjoyed that little non-action.
Thank you, Edward.
Richard comes back.
Edward filling in for a couple of minutes while Richard spoke to radio audiences in the East Midlands. Hearing a suggestion that Glamorgan wanted a sort of all-day chase, and that Leicestershire might have fancied a rather shorter chase of fewer runs. So there we are. No agreement was reached. Ul Hassan is in, and bowls cut away, and there is Lewis Hill's half century. He's reached the boundary at backward point, finally getting hold of one from Ul Hassan, and a nice way to reach the half century with his boundary. And that means he has faced 91 balls, hit I think 5 4s and 2 6s, as indeed it flashes up on the screen in front of us. BBC commentary available on the Glamorgan and Leicestershire video streams for the season, thankfully. Ul Hassan in, bowls a bouncer, and Cook does well to get a hand to it, as it was outside leg stump, and Cook managed to just turn it around the corner, around the post maybe.
Great save.
Did well to save. Yeah, save is the right word, isn't it? So it wasn't a great. It was nice to see him trying to pitch something a bit short to vary it, but it was ill-directed down leg side. In comes Al Hassan again, and Hill works that one away on the leg side. They'll go through for a single. McIlroy's in, but they're comfortably home. 54 to Hill, 73 Patel, 137 for 1.
Hesitated momentarily there, Patel, and realised McIlroy had to run round the ball, being a left-hander. Right-hander might have been interesting.
Yeah, I wonder if they make that sort of instant calculation. Oh, that's the one of the left-handers in the team. Al Hassan's next delivery is comfortably worked away by Patel down to Root, who is a left-hand batter but a right-arm thrower, as he demonstrates there. 138 for 1.
I got the impression that Eddie didn't approve of jazz rock combos or whatever it is.
I think it's just a jazz prom.
Jazz prom.
I
Okay.
have no particular details of the occasion, but I'm sure it will be relaxing. Al Hassan to bowl, outside off stump, allowed to go through by Hill, playing no shot.
The noise of snores will echo
Well,
from the web box.
to be honest, I drag my better half along to some events that she probably wouldn't choose for herself, so one has to reciprocate occasionally.
Absolutely.
138 for 1. Al Hassan in, and Hill blocks it up to mid-on fairly firmly. So Leicestershire making decent progress then. 138 for 1. 5 fours, 2 sixes confirmed by the good doctor. Nice to see a few youngsters in today, part of the welcome group for the players.
They were out on the outfield playing during the interval as well.
Yeah, they do their best to organise school visits here, including, it has been known, French school visits, and I've no idea what the youth of France makes of the experience of a county championship cricket game. It must be quite mind-boggling.
But an insight of sorts, isn't it, into a different culture.
The British psyche.
Indeed. Well, Michael Neser is going to go around the wicket now to Rishi Patel, so we can surely assume a few short balls with those 3 men deep on the leg side, plus a third man. Neser is in and is short, and a good bouncer as well, and Patel sort of ducks out of the way, not entirely convincingly, but that was one that gave him a little bit of a hurry up. There's a good bouncer, Neser, as you would expect. But now he's bringing in his wide long leg to a sort of leg. Where's he going to go? Leg gully, do you think?
Well, at the moment he's right in front. Oh no, leg slip, fly leg slip. No.
Do I need a helmet here? He's getting the helmet. Is it Billy Root who's coming in from there? He is going to go in at leg gully. Yes, he eventually makes his mind up. Neser is in, short, and Patel helps it around the corner, high over exactly where Root was standing on the boundary for 6. Well, it wasn't as short. It wasn't as short as the previous delivery, which was a really good bouncer. It sat up really nicely on the hip of Patel, and with the man having been brought in, it was a fairly safe shot as well as if he'd got it wrong, and he lifted it miles over the relatively small grandstand down there at long leg, and well, that has bounced, I would guess, somewhere fairly close to the river. If it bounced on the Taft Trail,
You can go and have a look for it afterwards.
It's yes, I'll be en route by then. Not on that particular route, but it won't be far from being in the river. And Patel moves on to 80. That was a lovely pickup. When he gets it right, it goes a long way. So at 40.2 balls, better make 40.2 overs, I should say. Better make a note. The ball is being changed out of necessity, not because it has gone out of shape, although I suspect it's now very wet indeed.
You mentioned the Who at Derby earlier on. That's tomorrow, so
Okay. So
Glamorgan are playing a championship game up there in a couple of weeks' time, so that won't be behind the doubt over. They may have some other recording artists there, but no change of Glamorgan's away one-day cup game as yet.
our colleague has got a ticket. Lucky man.
Fletch. All right.
It's the full works. They're playing not only those surviving members of the Who, i.e. Messrs Townsend and Daltrey, but also a full orchestra. So they are giving it the beans. And they also do usually pretty good sort of laser stuffs and all that sort of malarkey. So I would imagine it's a spectacle worth witnessing. In goes Neser and bowls. Up on his toes goes Patel. Shortish delivery, but it's just outside off stump, and he can dab it down to third man and take one.
They're also playing on the cricketing front at Durham and at Hove.
Well, when's the Hove?
23rd.
Of this month?
Yeah, 10 days' time. Playing sort of every other day, roughly.
The thing is, if you want a decent ticket, you're looking at 130, 150 quid, basically.
Gosh.
Indeed.
Also playing on the Sandringham Estate in August, by royal appointment.
Neser is in short, outside off stump, cut for 4. It's not working at the moment. He got that one wrong as well. The first bouncer was a dandy, but since then he's gone around the park rather, and Hill moves on to 58, Patel 81, 149 for 1, and I think that's 15 off the over, and there's still 2 balls to go. No, it's not. 11 off.
11 off.
I thought we did it. No, just 11 off the first 4. Apologies. Neser philosophically goes back over the wicket. In he goes and bowls full on towards middle and leg, and Hill waiting in his crease just in case. Dabs it out to short-ish mid wicket. Neser kicks a little ruefully, but not in too irritated a manner at the crease as he walks back past it. And that the dust there has indeed sort of, having gone quite dark after the shower, has indeed gone back to pale. Obviously it's been swept during the lunch interval as well, but it just livened things up for an over or 2. In goes Neser, bowls short, but it bounces for a second time before it is fielded well by Cook, diving away or falling away to his left behind the stump. So a mixed bag, that over from Michael Neser, who has now bowled 8 overs and taken 1 for 19, the only man to have taken a wicket in this Leicestershire first innings thus far. 149 for 1 off 41. 58 remain, and if they're going to get maximum batting bonus points, they are sooner or later going to have to start picking things up. Run rate is still pretty decent though, 3.63.
Yeah, speaking of the Who, I was under the impression that their late bassist John Entwistle was from the Newport area, or had connections with it, but apparently he was born in London, so I'm not sure.
Londoners, aren't they? Yeah, or were.
Ul Hassan is in to bowl, and Patel plays it into the offside and goes through for a singler. 150 up for the Foxes. We're in the 42nd over.
I wonder if he might have relatives, but no, they're famously Londoners, aren't they?
He did die a pretty ultimate rock and roll death. Sex and drugs and rock and roll, and all featured in his demise. Hill on 58, phases up to Ul Hassan, and will get a run or 2 here as he pushes one wide of the sprawling Neser at gully, who stays down on the floor so that he doesn't risk getting in the way of Carlson's return, and gets up rather gingerly and in stages. 151 for one. Not quite sure how much bowling Neser will have done in recent weeks in terms of net practice, as Patel plays the next delivery to McIlroy at mid-wicket, and there is no run. Must be quite not quite fruitless, because I'm sure they enjoy the atmosphere, but being part of a test squad when you know you only have a very outside chance of immediate involvement, and being a net bowler. As Ul Hassan bowls, that's hit away, pulled away by Patel, firmly down towards fine leg for 4 runs. So Ul Hassan hasn't quite got the pace to pitch it that short, particularly when he's straying down leg side, straining every sinew. .155 for one. As Ul Hassan bowls, and Patel plays that one nicely through the offside for a single. 156 for one. Paul Sussex tweets, in the 4th year of the Academy we produced Ben Wright, Hugh Waters, Mike O'Shea, James Harris, Will Bragg, the late Tom Maynard and Aaron Shingler. When do you think the next crop will be produced? Well, I take your point, Paul, but I don't see them early enough in their development to make any sort of predictions. 156 for one. As on the back foot goes Hill, plays up to mid-on, and it is the end of the over. Although a couple of those names that you mentioned didn't have huge first-class careers. Shingler, of course, was a rugby international rather than a prominent cricketer. Will Bragg occupied the number 3 successfully in red ball for a few years. James Harris, of course, still going. Tom Maynard, unfortunately, before his sad demise, moved to Surrey.
Michael Neser has decided he's done enough again for now. His little post-lunch burst.
4 overs again, I think.
It was.
Yeah.
And he's giving way to the leg spinner, Mitchell Swepson. 7 overs, none for 42. But
I wonder if there have been specific orders from Australian management. Make sure you don't bowl long spells.
It probably does feel a slightly fruitless pursuit from his point of view at the moment, the pitch being the way it is. Swepson probably better from this end, with the wind behind him. It's harder for Hill, who took a bit of a liking to him before lunch, to smash him away over the long on boundary in that direction anyway, against the wind. But it's Patel who's on strike. Swepson is in, bowls, tosses it up, and was that a catch? Went 2 first slip again. Did it just turn past the outside edge? There's not too much reaction from behind the stumps. Was it an edge, or did it just turn? Either way, Lloyd wasn't able to take it. Let's have a look. He got a left hand to it. I think it was a chance.
Might have been
and
hitting
again,
off the ground.
It might indeed, as Swepson is in, just drifting on towards middle stump this time. So Patel, who may have been fortunate on that occasion, picks up 1, moves on to 88. So I'll make a note of it. I'll say chance question mark. But again, it was the same trio involved: Patel, Swepson, Lloyd. Definite drop when he was on 46, possible drop when he was on 87. Swepson steps in and bowls, drops a little bit short. Hill goes back but just prods it out into the offside. And there's no run. Extra cover. The fielder claps his hands together in approval. Swepson bowls. Good line, good length. Hill respectfully and carefully forward, dropping it out into the offside. Is that a 12th man on at extra cover? Not quite sure I recognise him.
Bevan.
In outside outside off stump from Swepson, and Hill reaching for it, sort of swats it. I think he was looking for the well, I don't know what he was looking to do. It went to a straightish mid-wicket there, and it all looked horribly ugly. Somehow. Swepson in. Bowls. Hill forward, thick inside edge, and Swepson was about to turn to the umpire to appeal for leg before there. Just got his inside edge down on it in time. That was an interesting over from Swepson. Asked a couple of questions in it and may have created a chance. We're not absolutely certain.
Bevan exits stage left. Tom Bevan, as Tim van der Hoogten returns to the field, possibly with a pair of boots suitable for bowling. So thankfully no further injuries for Glamorgan, who've been affected by injuries more than usual in a summer in which they've reduced their squad numbers by around 4 overall. So it has been tough at times for Glamorgan. And looking down at the squad list, virtually everyone has had a game somewhere along the way, apart from possibly Alex Horton, who will no doubt have his chance in the One Day Cup. So Van der Hoogten then, to try his luck once more. 9 overs, 1 maiden, 0 for 27. Only wicket so far has gone to Michael Neser. But it has been Glamorgan toiling in vain for 43 overs mostly, as Hill defends to mid-off, no run. If you want to tweet us, NickWeb 2017, Fox's Crick 2023.
Nick Lilystone has tweeted, where's Ajinkya Rahane? Well, he's playing for India at the moment. So we know exactly where he is, Nick. He's the vice-captain of the India Test side. I think they're in the West Indies at the moment.
Yeah, I think there's a test match ongoing. I'll just check that for you. Van der Hoogten bowls and Hill defends. At the moment there's a lot of effort from the bowlers and then just a dead bat and the ball dribbles back down the pitch. West Indies were dismissed for 150. Windsor Park Rosso, I'm not sure which island that is. Anyway, West Indies 150 all out. India in reply 80 without loss. Rahane is indeed due to bat 5 as Hill batting 3 cuts for 4. 60 to Lewis Hill, 164 to Lewis Hill, 162 for 1 are the Foxes. Just a fraction of width from Van der Hoogten, wasn't particularly wide, but Hill seized onto that one nicely. And, well, Chris Cook is standing up to the wicket, which says it all really about proceedings here. 162 for 1. Van der Hoogten again to Hill. Again the cut shot played this time. It is closer to Carlson at point, and keeps them down to a single. Sad to see really the West Indies are reduced quite as far as they have been in international standings and failing to make the coming World Cup. I mean, A lot of people in Britain were glad they're not quite at the terrifying heights of the 70s and 80s anymore, but to see them uncompetitive to a large degree, as Patel fires that one straight at northeast at cover, and there's no run. Mostly blue sky now, a little bit of overhead cloud moving fairly quickly past. We had a shower at about 9:30, which failed to delay the start, and we had one around about 12:30, which led to the loss of 4 overs. Van der Hoogten to Patel, who drives it back to him. No run. End of the over. 163 for 1 Leicestershire. Absolutely nothing happening for the Glamorgan bowlers.
Patel might just be a little bit careful as he approaches what would be his 4th century of the season. Should be, because it's there for the taking. As a chat to his captain Lewis Hill, who will be I'm sure eyeing his 3rd. 65 not out. Van der Hoogten's speeds in that over were sort of early 70s rather than all the bowlers coming in against what's been a strong wind from that side of the ground have been markedly down on pace from that river end throughout the game. Matt Salisbury seemed to draw the short straw for Leicestershire a lot of the time. They did change it around as they were flogged around the place by Michael Neser. In goes Swepson, and he's cut by Hill, but only as far as backward point. Hassan, who seems to have made that position his own, by choice or otherwise, is the fielder. There is a sweeper now on the offside boundary. Looks like McElroy out there. Swepson tosses one up nicely, and it's missed by Hill. Thumps into the pad, but wasn't going to turn, or didn't turn, and was going on down the leg side. Inquiry was made of umpire Baldwin. Swepson walks in, bowls, drops a little bit short. Hill goes back, plays with a fairly straight bat out through the point, in front of point area, out towards McElroy, the sweeper. Jogs his single, moves on to 66. Pitch almost changing colour as you look at it, really, because it was quite green in the middle yesterday still, having been undercover for so long. Not that it played any differently, but now it's almost completely brown. The odd bit of green grass just about visible still. Silly mid-off has gone in as Swepson is in. Forward goes Patel, and that silly-ish mid-off northeast jogs towards the ball to field.
Yes, it's a digestive biscuit, isn't it, at the moment, the pitch?
It is. Swepson bowls, drops short outside off stump, steered down towards third man, but the excellent Hassan dives away to his left. He saved a lot of runs in that position, one way or another at backward point. This time diving to his left, saves himself a long chase back towards the third man boundary. He'd have had to pick himself up, and he may or may not have got that. Swepson to finish his over is in, looking to drive down on one knee, doesn't quite get it. Patel runs out to extra cover, and there is no run. End of the over.
Richard Ray has an engagement with radio audiences to bring them the good news as far as the visitors are concerned, that all is serene on the Leicestershire balcony as they make good progress towards a healthy haul of bonus points, and Glamorgan are left wondering where on earth the next wicket is coming from. There have not been that many chances. Hill nearly played on to Hassan on 47. Patel dropped by Lloyd off Swepson on 46. And it's all very serene for the visitors as we meander towards a draw, and Glamorgan wonder if they're going to get a point here with the ball.
And it'll be Van der Gooten induces a false stroke there from Hill, who tries to play through the offside, and it ends up about 20 yards behind him at leg slip, a deepish leg slip. So again, we're repeating ourselves. We saw it against Sussex a couple of weeks, and batsmen trying to drive the ball is so useless, if you like, for the bowlers. It just drops there and it doesn't come on quickly, so you cannot time. And I'm just trying to remember, we saw one lovely shot off the back foot this morning from Patel that went for 4, but others driven through in a distant memory, driven through the covers off the front foot, as Van der Gooten is in and bowls to Patel. Comes forward, conscious of the fact now that he's 12 runs only, and he has to be responsible and try and get these 12 runs for his 4th 100. He'll never have a better chance. And my guess is that they'll get near 400. Can't see them getting 450. But they, I think, will aim for that. There's cloudless sky above us now as Van der Gooten bowls, and he's gone for that. It's a big hit over the top, and he's hit him, I think, for 6, has he? Yes, he has. That's a beautiful shot, and he really leant into that because he knew that he'd only half hit it, then he'd be caught. So I don't think, Nick, that Tim Van der Gooten has had the ignominy of being struck over his head for 6 much this season, the leading wicket taker in Division 2.
Absolutely, it was a really well struck shot there from the Leicestershire opener as he reaches 94 not out, and maybe Richard would like to describe him reaching 3 figures, which may be just the one blow away at the moment. So
don't know what's happened here.
I'll give way to Richard.
I don't know whether the ball has got lost, but they're having a look at the other one. By Baldwin. And I think that shot also, it's been pretty quiet since lunch, nothing really. And they know that they've got to get on with it just a little. They look for 4.5. They've gone 3.76. And I think that Patel, well, there's nobody back. I'll have a crack at this on this pitch. All is well with the cricket ball, and it's back in Van der Gooten's hands.
It wasn't a replacement, was it? They another replacement.
Yeah.
40.2 overs. First replacement. Patel put it into the river, and I think he's just done it again, so that might be another one at 45. Van der Hookton, can he do it again? Rishi Patel, and go to 100 in style. Bowls, he drives, but it is not going to get through. It is going to get through for one, but it could easily have been 4. But diving across to his right, Ul Hassan, that excellent fielder, managed to get a right hand to it and slow it sufficiently to prevent it going all the way to the long off boundary. So 95 for Rishi Patel now. Did he nip back in? Van der Hookton in, back foot defensive push by Hill, firm drive. Van der Hookton has the air, Eddie, of a man who knows this is going to be a bit of hard work this afternoon on this pitch.
Yes, and
resigned, I would suggest.
Yeah, and they'll probably agree. You bowl 5, I'll bowl 5, and just carry on with it, and look forward to 5-6 o'clock as soon as we can. Don't tell me the ball's out of shape again. No, at this time.
I suppose they're getting used to it again. They're looking at it. It's a new old ball, so to speak.
Last ball of the over. Hill waits, in comes Van der Gooten and bowls outside the off stump. That came back a little, well taken by the wicket keeper, Chris Cook, who has stood up, would you believe, to every bowler. Which again, and when you stand up to Michael Neser, that might tell you.
Did he stand up to Neser?
He stood up to him before lunch for an over and took everything.
Wow. He's a fine keeper.
Yeah, but that also tells you how desperately slow this pitch is. And I don't think really that either side thought it would be as timid as this. It started yesterday afternoon when that stand, 200 stands for the last couple of wickets, 57 for the last wicket, and it's 172 for one. My guess is around 400 they'll get. What is yours, Richard? I think 450 might be a bit beyond them.
400 will be the minimum target, won't it?
I think so.
And that would give them 12 points. 450 would give them, Leicestershire, that is, 13 points from the game, which, given we've had 180 odd overs lost to the weather, is probably the maximum return they can seriously have expected. Although, as we have been talking about, Glamorgan apparently did make some sort of offer to Leicestershire regarding
if he only knew Lewis
a
Hill.
forfeit.
I wonder.
Well, I shall ask him. I shall ask them afterwards what sort of offer, if any, if they're prepared to vouchsafe.
I think the answer might be, Richard, hang on, if we do that, we will not gain any bowling points.
You know, there was the risk of losing
Yeah.
five batting bonus points in return for, well
Perhaps a lot.
perhaps
Yeah.
an 11-point gain. So it's sort of
And
they're
Glamorgan,
guaranteed
yeah.
5 for the draw, plus probably 4 at least for batting. So there was a 9-point sort of swing potentially there, being offered 16. I could, yeah.
And when you think they chased 390 down against Yorkshire,
Yes,
And,
they did.
you know,
but that was a genuine chase, if you know what I mean. It was not
Yeah.
a sort of
No, but I was saying they
manufactured
chased
one
it.
as such.
Yeah.
But they did. Yes, they
On a good
knew they're
pitch.
capable of it. Yes, indeed. And as you've pointed out, Hanscom, Mulder, Ackerman in the middle order.
Well,
That's
even
where the
right,
power
down to
is.
right.
That's where the power is. James Harris is back on, bowling to Rishi Patel, who's driving for 4. A lovely shot to go to 99, outside off stump. And it was there to be driven away. No sweeper on the offside boundary. Or Neser. Not Neser, is it? Jogging after it.
yeah, no,
No. 35. Is that a
McIlroy, isn't it?
12th man? Could be McIlroy. Yep, underarm, left armour. So 99 for Rishi Patel, a 4th century of the season. Within reach. Will the field, single saving field, come in? It is pretty much a single saving field anyway, really. So no real change. Harris is in to Patel, who is pushing a full straight delivery back past the bowler, but only as far as route at mid-off.
I don't think it'll be long before the slip will disappear. There hasn't been a chance to slip in the whole innings, is there?
164
Well,
balls.
David Lloyd, a low thing, yeah.
Rishi Patel has faced for his 99. Waits with the bat raised as Harris lopes in and bowls to him, and that is not the century he needs, because McIlroy does well diving across to his left, falling
He
across
wanted
to
it.
his left at extra cover. He thought he'd got it, didn't he?
Yeah.
To the left of McIlroy. McIlroy fell to his left and stopped it and sort of flicked the ball back towards the stumps.
Can I just quickly interject? Has he been on a Lions tour?
No, he hasn't.
It's time he did.
Well, he is playing himself surely into contention in that respect if he continues to perform in September, which is probably as important almost as the early part of the season.
Right.
Recency bias, they call it, don't they? But in goes Harris and bowls down the leg side short. Patel just leans out of the way, leans inside the line, lets it bounce through to Cook behind the stumps.
Have you seen anybody in the old days? You'd get somebody coming from the ECB who goes around the counties having a look. If a name comes up. Haven't seen anybody this year, or have they got anybody that go out?
Well, you sometimes wonder whether the match referees ought to have they get sort of reports from the coaches and recommendations, and to have a come and have a look. And James
fingers
Whittaker,
crossed.
former head selector, is here, isn't
Yeah.
he? Harris is in to Patel, who's driving. He hasn't got that one through either. Dive falling to his left. All Hassan at backward point makes the stop. One ball left in the over for Patel to get the single he needs.
Leave him be, Jay.
Shouldn't be bothered.
Hill's going down and having a word.
Yeah.
Leave the boy be.
Don't give it away. Just it'll come. It'll come. Don't get worked up.
Do you think Hill said, "You're wasting time, get on with it"?
Harris is in to Patel, bouncer, and Patel just ducks underneath it and swings his bat lazily through the air, having let it go through. End of the over, so Patel will just have to think about it for a little longer. He remains on 99. Leicestershire, who have begun to pick up the rate a little bit, they've moved it on to 3.74 now. Are 176 for one from 47. 52 potentially remain. I'd be very surprised if we have them all, frankly.
Oh, yeah. Do you think Lewis Hill said, "Do you mind getting on with it? I know you're on 99, but we want to get 400, you know." I doubt it. Right, who have we got here?
274 off 52 gives them the maximum. So 5 and a bit and over from here on in.
The field is out everywhere. What have we got coming on to bowl?
The leggies changed ends.
Swepson's going to have a bowl. I'll concentrate on Mr. Hill, and you can concentrate on the near Centurion. I daren't call him the Centurion as yet. Right, Swepson from the river end, and mid-on has gone right back on the boundary as he prepares to come into the Leicestershire captain, who pushes him down and nothing else, just guides it down as if to say to Patel, yep. No. Do what I did with that ball, and then we can get cracking.
Swepson
is calling everybody in, I think.
Yeah, wisely so. I think just try and put a bit of pressure. I did see Rishi Patel get out for 99 before he got his first class century. That was at Hove at the start of last season against Sussex, the match when Leicestershire broke all sorts of records in that game, including the county championship record for the 5th wicket. And that was between Mulder and Ackerman. Swepson is into Patel, who goes back and cuts hard down into the ground, and it's stopped by Carlson at point. A ring of single saving fielders around Rishi Patel, and he does look to be just getting a little bit agitated, isn't he? A little bit angsty, right. Just needs to stay calm. Wait for the bad one. Swepson is in and bowls a little bit short, but it is straight and just played back to him by Rishi Patel. It bounces off Swepson, but Hill politely just picks it up and hands it back to Mitchell Swepson. Will he go for the big shot?
No, surely not.
Swepson is in. Patel is driving, but mid-off has come up that little bit, so he's still saving one. Ul Hassan just fields and underarms the ball back to Mitchell Swepson. A slow hand clap from Kieran Carlson. In goes Mitchell Swepson, and Bowles tosses it up. It's a full toss, but even then he can't get it away because it goes to mid-on, who makes the stop. Hill. Yes, he came running down the pitch thinking it might be there. Mid-on picked it up and hurled the ball at the stumps at the non-strikers, then Van der Hookten, but he missed the stumps. But I think Hill might have got back into his ground, but it's all it might have been close. It might difficult to tell, isn't it, from up here, but it was a close one. Swepson is in. Patel goes back, and that's it. It cuts it down to fine third man. Little bit off the top edge, but he has got it between the wicketkeeper and short third man to the boundary for 4. Well played, Rishi Patel, your 4th century.